Don't wait, don't wait.
Don't wait.
Oh yeah, don't wait.
Don't wait. Don't wait till I die.
Don't wait, yeah.
Don't wait.
Don't wait, my brother, don't wait.
Don't wait.
My sister, don't wait.
Don't wait. Don't wait till I
I'm in the hospital, don't wait.
Don't wait.
I'm dying, don't wait.
Don't wait.
I need your help, don't wait.
Don't wait. Don't wait till I die.
Please help me, don't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't wait, don't wait, don't wait.
Don't wait.
I need you help me now,
Don't wait. Don't wait till I die.
Don't wait till I die before you help me. If you want to help me right now. Don't wait, oh sister, don't wait. I said don't wait, my brethren, don't wait. Don't wait till I die before you help me. I need your help. Help me right now. I'm in the hospital, lying on my sick bed. I just need you to help me with my life, and Jehovah will bless you. Don't wait till I die to rain cast and get my body to the grave. I said don't wait when I die before you praise me. Don't wait when I die to cry for me, man. Oh, don't wait when I die to post my photo. This woman was so sick, she was saying got up on her day. I said she went from place to place, but she could not get the treatment she needed. Finally, her son took her to the hospital. And the doctor said they should bring 5 pounds of blood. But this woman could not afford the money. Oh yeah, even her son could not afford the money. He left the mother at the hospital. He went to family member. He went to Uncle Johnny place. He said, Uncle, my mother is at you. I left my mother at the hospital. And the doctor said, we should bring 5 pounds of blood. Uncle, please help my mother. Uncle, help my mother. Uncle, I beg you, help my mother. Please help my mother. Oh, Uncle, help her before she dies. Johnny looked in her face. He said, my son.
Good evening, welcome to the show. Happy New Year. 2023 is in the making. I'm Alfonso Zenso of the Liberia Public Radio. Don't wait.
What to do? But next week, my son, no money.
Mr. James Tanons, Happy New Year. Jenna May, Happy New Year. Time Mr. Cheer, right here from the base. Say, Aliyu, Happy New Year and welcome to the show as we are about to wrap up 2022 and forecast what is ahead for 2023. I am Alfonso Zenso. Oliver, to welcome just in time. And this is my son of the years, Baron Brown, marching into the house of LPR. Happy New Year and welcome.
He went to Auntie Asta place. He said, Auntie, my mother is dying. I left my mother at the hospital. And the doctor said we should bring 5 pounds of blood.
And what happened?
I have come to beg you.
Oh, Lord.
Auntie, help my mother.
Oh, man.
Auntie, please help my mother.
Trying to rescue life.
Oh, Auntie.
Don't wait.
Help her before she dies. Yes, I woke her. Enter the house.
And what happens?
She brought 500 from her money.
Amen.
She said, my son, I wish you well.
Wish you well.
I wish you well.
All right.
Go tell your mama, say,
this is what I have.
I wish her well.
At least that was a little bit
He left, he went
intervention.
to Uncle Bartley.
And what Uncle says.
Papa was so rich. He was rich. He have everything to his disposal.
Just hit the share button for us and just invite someone to your company as we conclude and wrap up 2022 and forecast what is ahead of 2023. Lesson and welcome.
Uncle, please.
Uncle, please. Begging for life, begging to save life. Don't wait. This is our songs of the year as we enter or triumphantly into 2023. Welcome to the show. I'm Afonso Zienso.
Uncle, please, don't allow mama to die. First to die, he looked at the boy. He shrugged his head.
And then what happens?
I have money, I'm getting my salary by next month on my son. I don't have money. Go tell your mama, say,
next month will be too late.
I pay you up on tuition.
Oh, Lord.
The ball left. He started crying.
Welcome, Mother White from Iowa, Des Moines. We say Happy New Year.
This life is not fair.
Welcome, my own chief. Mr. Kai is in the house.
Wait up for my mother.
Hey, Lord.
Before he reached out the hospital.
Oh, man.
His mother was gone.
Oh, Lord.
He took his phone. He started calling Uncle Paul. He was crying. Uncle Paul, Mama is no more.
Oh, Lord.
Mama is gone. And left alone. Mama is gone, no. Oh, Uncle Paul. Mama is no more. He said, sorry, my son, don't worry. I'm sending her to take her to the funeral. Don't worry, my son.
I don't want funeral. That's not what I was pleading for. I was calling for divine intervention.
I'm responsible for waking me.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my son. Keep courage, don't worry. Esther said, I will do the dressing. And then Johnny said, I will do the rain. Oh, don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Don't wait. Where is the very dangerous Joshua? You're right in time. Thank you so much. Let's get a ball rolling right here as we conclude. We have concluded 2022 and into 2023. I am Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio. Lpr-Tv. Good evening. I am Afonso Zienso, right here from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio. I am not an Oga. I am not a Nigerian. I am a typical Liberian from the southeastern south of the Republic of Liberia. Grangida, little town border with Toll Town. Right there, you go to La Côte d'Ivoire. Right there, tie to the play. The quarter B.I. Joson is on the cotton tree. Don't see this and take me to be a Nigerian or Senegalese or Gambian or Guinean. I am a Liberian. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. We say happy New Year. What a triumphant rollover coming from 2022 to 2023. It was by the grace and mercies of God. I got a story this morning. It was actually people were entering New Year time. And I think there's a need authorities in Liberia to act on it because we allow things to go back in life. I was told this morning while making the routines call, checking with family, friends, and other people, as you know, we in this business, people call to give us news. And this motorcyclist, as we know, we say sometimes they are ruthless and kind of like a way of driving. But this guy, according to the story, he tries to save a old lady who just abruptly jumped in the street, tried to cross, and he tries to do his best to kind of like, do that kind of way to dodge the other. The other friend came on the other side and ran into him. And what happens? He fell. According to the story, according to one of the persons that was on the scene. Her hair went on a high, solid semen ground, and that was his brain. Maybe if he had a helmet, I believe there could have been an injury. But that life, who knows? He was maybe trying to get ends meet as they were getting into New Year. No ID card, according to the source. Police came in and they tried to figure out who this gentleman, perhaps to contact the family. There are things that we overlook in the country, and those are things that are taking lives away. In as much, yes, the economy is hard, but the life is very much important. I hope this 2023 leaders, authority, will have a conversation with the motorcyclists and those that are even selling those bikes. I know somewhere that I read like area there, I believe I saw that store when I was going to Grand Gita to say they are one of the folks that are selling those stuff. They need to get helmets, and not just only for the rider, but for the also the passenger. Maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, I didn't witness the same, but from explanation from people that we talk to, probably if that rider had a helmet, I think his hair would have been protected. The hair boss and then brain all went here to scatter. Gotta get him in the care to go to the hospital. What a sigh, even. Welcome to the show. I'm Afonso Z and Salt of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Lpr-Tv special 2022 in review and 2023 expectations. Somebody is thinking, what the hell is he talking about? A lot of shenanigans, a lot of things unfolded in the year 2022. It becomes a history. But what is ahead of us? Are we thinking about that? And what were some of the ridiculous things and some of the challenges faced in our political process, economic, social, infrastructure? Well, we just did few selections, and I'm quite sure you have a lot. So probably this evening here, as we are wrap up 2022, maybe if you want to come on as I just have your say into this conversation, let us know. We're going to throw the link here and just come in here. And we all do it because we are all here in it for the good of our country. Political pundits, contributors, analysts, don't mind those people, the liberal progressive. They have a side, they have a pick. So their analysis and their talking point will really favor in themselves or the folks that is supported. What were some of the things that were making headlines during the year in review 2022? You have the right to disagree with me. And we'll be glad if some of you even come all here this evening to tell us exactly some of the bad things we in the media industry, if we have to narrow the scope, for LPR, you can tell us. It can be done in a civil context. Don't talk about my nose and all of that stuff. Just tell you, hey, you didn't do what we expected you to do. But let's put that behind. 2023 is here. We want you to do good. We want you to talk about the issue. And this is what is lacking within the conversations of Liberia. Simply because of political correctness, politicians, their supporters, their surrogate give justifications to their action. And that becomes so difficult. But there are few things that we capture here at LPR that we feel so much important that they were a turning point because they have impacted our political conversations overall on the broader scopes and spheres of our political dynasty. He's here again this evening. I'm not sure as we triumphantly into this new year, he was going to be a change man. There's nothing guaranteed with him because he said he's involved. And when someone is politically involved, it creates a conversations, an openness or an open room that you would never know they are standing. I began to question him his idea of being a liberal, because what I do know, liberals in the United States here, or liberals in the West here, they have a definitive position. But we have a liberal who is Liberian American-based liberal /LPRC, Continuation Liberty Party USA. We don't know what he represents. but he's here, and I'm going to be bringing him. Will he be a change God? By the way, if this is the first time, we say you are wholeheartedly welcome and good morning, good afternoon. I am Alfonso Zienso, your angle. Let me go to Saxton, Sacramento. The Liberal Progressive is here, and I will try to throw the lane here and see if we can make a commendation here and talk and disabuse or some of our talking point and speak about your country. It was your country. Do not allow us and allow the politicians to be the only one to drive the narrative. This is why we are where we are today. Let's see the Liberal Progressive here this evening, Samson Blocko Brown. To is based in Saxton, Sacramento. The Liberal Progressive, good evening, happy New Year. Hopefully you change God this 2023. I'm not sure whether that is something I can put on the book.
Good evening, Mr. So, and good evening to everyone that's watching. We say happy holiday, happy New Year to all of you, and we ask God for continue to bless us, and we also ask God to continue to protect us. Stay safe. Whatever you do, stay safe. Mr. So, let me just bring this thing. There's no way I'm going to be a changed person with respect to my liberal behavior and what have you. Liberal, what does it say? It says here to be a liberal, willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas. That's who I am. I am not sticking with one idea from the 1940s and say this idea is still like that. No, I'm open for.
He doesn't even know what he's saying for.
Yeah, Mr. So I just told you. That's who the liberal is, and so please, as far as what is happening. What is happening in Liberia as a liberal? I think we have to actually look at these things and say, where are we, and where are we going? And I think we should also, those of us that have the opportunity to be on these platforms from time to time, should utilize these opportunities, not just so much of trying to criticize, as opposed to instead of criticizing all of the time, let's use this opportunity to bring up facts and try to not educate, except for Sissy, who has a license to educate. But many of us don't have that license. And so I cannot claim here that I'm going to be here, sitting here to educate somebody. But I can express my view. And perhaps if my view is satisfactory to someone else's, to accept it, and that person who accepting my view perhaps does not have that standing before. So now it become a teachable moment for them and learning moment for them, and then perhaps they can say, okay, well, that's something that is educating because I'm learning. And let us use this platform not just to criticize, but let's also use this platform to enlighten our brothers and sisters. And I think if we do that, we'll go a long way. However, but that does not mean that my liberal view should be drummed out by the conservative views from you and Mr. Eamon George. That I refuse, and I continue even with this new year.
Okay,
I will continue. Right. This is exactly what I'm talking about. In this new year, instead of you to allow the liberal to express himself freely, you're now getting ready to shut him off. And this is 2023, Mr. So I think we're past that time now. Let me say this. You and Mr. George, conservative idea will not drum out the liberal ideas here on Liberal Public Radio.
Equally. Hey, look, Sissy, happy New Year. Good to see you. I am happy you are here. Look, the pageantry, the quality, the zeal, the momentum you're coming into to Lpr is unquestionable. I cannot explain that. I want to say it. Good to see you. I am quite sure we will be all energized against and drive this network. Happy New Year, my dear brother and friend.
Happy New Year to you, Mr. So. Happy New Year to you, Mr. To. It's always nice to be on with you all. Contrary to Mr. To's belief that you have to be licensed to teach, I have learned a whole lot from him. And also I've learned on a serious note a whole lot from you, Mr. So. Mr. To, I watched your videos when you talk about engineering with the passion. We should talk about it. And I watched you for 2 whole hours fixing a car, and I was impressed. I too am an engineer, but I don't know how to fix cars. And I was really impressed, and I learned a whole lot. So you don't have to have a license to teach. We all come here to learn from one another, and I'm always blessed to be in your company.
Yeah, look, that's the only thing. That one thing I can't take away. This guy, God, naturally, you know, the brain is this total guy. He's naturally gifted. He's a genius. You know, that's the only thing. But when you come to the other side of the world, then you have to deal with him. Look, and I say this year, all of you guys, I know Kumaya. 2022 is an obituary. We are in 2023. All of us, including myself, we will be held accountable. And the idea of always putting my questions into a mirror and try to go find some sort of perfume somewhere to see whether you're going to get a good smell, I'm not going to be for it. We are wrapping up 2022 by the grace. We say thank God for we are here. I would say a minute of silence for those of our brothers and sisters who, and I was just talking to sister, let's bring in our birthday lady. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Madame Cotto Jalabellians. Just leave out your camera so we can see you good. Okay, we say happy New Year, and we are all happy. If you can elevate your camera so that we... Is it possible? Maybe just prop it up a little bit. Okay. All right, good. All right, that's okay. So I have my talking point here, but I'm going to give that liberty to people to also express, but we'll try to stick to the point. Dr. Toto, good evening. Welcome. Look, the 2022 was crazy. Toto, it was crazy. And it was unbelievable. A lot of good things, a lot of bad things, and a lot of bizarre. The opposition, the government, and the failures of the opposition to put themselves together, I would say give an edge to the government. It reminds us of the 1935 elections. And the notion that people don't lift people's hands up, it's not true. We saw that with Talbot, Samuel Doe. They don't have candidates. And the good thing that I saw happening in 2022 was the sanctions slam by Uncle Sam. Courtesy of some of our sister network televisions, let's see and feel the weight of Uncle Sam when you become defiant to authority and give justifications of your wrongdoing, then the wrath of big higher ups unleashed. Let's watch and see.
You put the help you. Don't go think all the post stealing money. But even I see the money again, like brand for a good thing. Because I see them carrying it in Europe. Some point in the country, all government are in eligible interest. That's the money. But we tell no money. The small will go to our people there, go pay for the small invest. I can't pay how in bank and they invest. So I'm going to tell the money I carry to Ghana, correct? But bank and they get it hard at me. I will take it from you, Gary. No. And I'll leave it. Yes. The day God take me, I will carry her with me. No. Our grandchildren, I will kind of see the ones there, but what kind of looking for? They go book power there. So these are the things we'll be doing. I just want to say thank you to for doing what he's doing. What the young men doing, he's just doing a part. One day will not be represented. But
A close confidant, the one who positioned himself almost as potentially the running mate or the face of the CDC. The Banga talking point led Uncle Sam with no other alternative but to suit and haven't. I'm not sure for a long time, I've not seen him on the campaign as well. Guys, go, evening. We say Happy New Year, and let's start with the conversation. Look, the 2022 was, I see it to be one of the good things that happened, not just on it, but for our democracy, and also holding people accountable to their wrongdoing. But the opposition, this seems not to capitalize on the big time divided. Going into election up to this point in time, into 2023, we don't know the year to run in May. And one of the big news that became a talking point was the president, almost 4 weeks plus out of the country. But then the opposition did not capitalize on. They created a protest call with tire suffering and they're firing in their legs. At the end of the day, uncertain amount, 20K, 50K, 25K, missing in action undermines the argument of tire suffering because that money could be used to feed somebody to get something done to somebody up to this point in time, no account. When that happens in the case of CDC or the ruling establishment, we'll cry, baby cry, we'll scream and we'll slam and we'll bash. But here we are. It reminds me of this book here. I'm still going through and finding it very difficult. We have to bring in the author, Liberty Hijack. The histories of how the loss of liberty divides Liberia. And when you go inside what is unfolding now reminds us of the 1935 election when the opposition failed to solidify their political conversation, political group. Guys, welcome to the show. You wish you can delve into that, but you have your own stuff where you found out that was an ugly event in 2022. And then we're going to make a forecast, make a prediction to see what the 2023 potential will bring for us. Let me start with the Liberal. I think workers still struggling whether to take Nyombi Kanga, to take Benana Ure, who happens to be one of the most wanted. All of these things here kind of giving a headache. We don't know whether when this book going to come to a close or Ellis Comey on the other side. Do not do the same thing over and over, bringing Daniel Che, Louis Brandt, kicking the can down the road. It's just a volatile situation we find ourselves in. The Liberal.
Thank you, Mr. So I think what we need to understand and perhaps what we need to get used to and what we need to accept, my opinion, that is those that you just named are Liberians. You do not expect us, or we should not be expected to go to Guinea and borrow politicians to certify us, to go to Ivory Coast to borrow politicians to certify us, or go to Sierra Leone and get some of the best politicians to come and do what we want them to do in Liberia. We have our own, and each of them have their own style, and we have to accept it. We might not agree with it, but this is what we have. These are the people that are willing, I said willing, to put themselves on the line for the Liberian people. To run a campaign, it's not an easy task. Even here in the diaspora, where when you are running for section organization, you have to pay your way to go places, to campaign, to go to states, other states to campaign. It costs you money here in the diaspora for a position that most likely you're not going to get paid. But yet still people invest their time to lead. So if we have few among us that are willing to come forth and say, and put their hands up and say, I'm willing. We might not agree with them, but we must appreciate them. Not only should we appreciate them, but we should welcome them. And at the same time, make them to understand that perhaps we don't agree with whatever ideology they have in mind or they're professing to carry for. So, Mr. So, I just want to say this here, why these people, including Dr. Weir and the rest of the opposition, I don't agree with many of the things that are happening, but I'm glad that they are ready to do this one man, one vote and challenge the sitting government without fear whatsoever. I appreciate all of them. I appreciate, deeply appreciate them, because I too have been affected hugely by this one man, one vote business. We've come a long way. So I think in this 2023, Mr. So, while we must criticize, we have to do it with respect. We have to do it with responsibility. And I'm not suggesting that LPR is not on the mark doing that, but we have to do more. But most importantly, when we criticize these people, I think at the end of the conversation, we must specify or we must state how we, the Liberian people, appreciate them by giving another voice to listen to and try to do some serious comparison. If you're unable to compare, if you are unable to listen to each of these people and come to a solid conclusion to say who you want, it's up to you. The choice has been given. The opportunities have been given for you to select. There's no so say one, so say all. Those days are over. And let us appreciate our brothers and sisters that are putting themselves and put their hands up and say, I'm ready to lead.
Okay. I don't see any change with this guy coming into this 2023 here. Also help me God, but we got to deal with it. Let's bring in the birthday lady. It's saying first gentleman spoke. Let's go to the Garden City. The clock is eating. Today is the first 6 days to go, man. My goodness, we're going to see what happens. You can see how the area all looks set at it. Okay, Koto, good evening. Welcome. Let's look at the 2022. A lot unfolded, too much. When we begin to cut a lot, we're going to have an endless night. But what was the most important thing that captured your imagination? 2022. I was just counting few, maybe you few, but you may not agree with what I say. You also have your say to bring up to your point. But I see the sanction. It was the good thing. I think what I took the law or burden out of the presidents or the CDC. If you talk to some real citizens, they are happy with him, but nobody could voice out. It almost reminds me like the day of Frank Tauber. And then when you go to Samuel Doe, then you talk about people like Harrison Pennell. You know, every government get their own Goliath and own or own Solomon, if you will. But let me just bring you in here. The 2022 has come and gone. 2023 now.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Happy New Year. It's good to see the New Year in Grand. You know, unfortunately, we have some of our friends, our family members, colleagues that were unable to see the 2023. But being grateful that some of us saw the 2023, we might be grateful to God because it is not by our will, it is by the grace of God. It's not by our strength. So I just want to praise God for that.
Right.
Because it wasn't an easy 2022 for some of us who, you know, with huge family members behind us. It wasn't an easy time, but we pray that, you know, the 2023 will make a big change. What captured my mind was a lot of things. It was the death of Princess, what's her name, Cooper.
Princess, yeah.
Up to this time, we have not gotten any result from her death. It touches me because this is somebody's child. This is somebody's sister. And having issue of such where there were cases of, they have evidence, linking to death up to this time. We still haven't had a closure to that death. I really feel bad about it. And came across with the death of the disappearing of the 3 boys. And just on and on. The death of the auditors, that was last year. And just on and on. We have the scarcity of gasoline
Mm.
in Liberia. Then we have the scarcity of rice. Things just unfolding over and over. What comes to my mind is, do this sit to retrospect as to why are we going through this? What is the repercussion to stop these things that are happening to our country? Because what good leader does is that you sit and think of your progress. And if you haven't achieved your gallon or what your to-do list, you go again to your to-do list what you did not achieve and see whether you can pick up from where you did not. And this is my worry. I hope that our leader will think that direction, because that's what a good leader does. And worst of all, what you play there with Maggie, this is something that continuously we hear people saying. I work with an NGO in Liberia. I was chief accountant, finance, assistant finance manager in Liberia. And my finance manager stole money from the organizations I was in. And what I saw, to be exact, I saw a colleague of my schoolmate of mine, he stopped right on him, what they call Chocolate City.
In Ghana's really.
I used to come from work. We will have to slow down because of the traffic at New Jersey Junction. We stop there just to drink, cool up before going home. The traffic goes down, and we go home. And this guy noticed that I used to stop there. This day, he stopped there. And the question he asked me was, "You get what wrong with you?" So I asked him, "What do you mean by what wrong with me?" He said, "The guy that you work with, your boss, the man can use his head. See the structures the man putting up. See," and he went on enumerating all the achievement this guy has done. And you sitting there, the man is taking money, you don't take some. That was his exact word.
Trying to initiate you.
Yeah. And the only thing I told him, I said, you get the wrong person, because the person character you're talking about and my character are not the same.
Right.
So if how you feel, I'm sorry that you felt that way, but I'm not going to spoil the name of my family. I'm not going to destroy the life of my children and the future of this country. And I said, that's why some of us, want to contribute to this country to see what changes. Because for some of our background, where we come from, I'm not saying my father was perfect, but there's a man who wanted to see the good out of us, and especially me. And he told me what he wanted to see. And sometimes I think that sometimes when I'm not going in that direction, it pains me that I will not achieve his goal, And
Okay.
I want Liberia go forward. And if we can't think about Liberia better today, when will we think about Liberia? It pains me many days I sit and think about other countries, our neighboring countries. They are going forward. What are we doing to improve our country? And it's so sad that this is the state
Yeah.
of ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, and those are very arguable points, things to retrospect. Unfortunately, politics has become a predominant conversation because literally 60–80% of all of the happenings when it comes to infrastructure, other things to get the country moving, politicians becomes the deal maker, decision makers, and so the actions of our politicians can influence our activities, our daily lives, and the growth of the country. So more or less, this conversation can easily go away, becomes the more talking point here. So Liberal, the opposition, we want to deal with both the opposition, the government, but the government is already there. The opposition position themselves as alternative to change this government. And what is happening literally 9–10 months to go? Most of you have argued on this network. At this point in time, we don't know if you look at it and you want to be honest and take a realistic approach, the president, okay, let me see. I think Sissy is back. Let me get Sissy, then they can go over it. Okay, Sissy Goya. So 2022 has wrapped up. I don't know who's going to be the running mate to all of those contesting. They're not putting anybody's hands up to create competitions outside of Monrovia to stretch government. I represented the Senate. Oh, I was told today I'm talking to somebody in from Sano, Matthew Zaza, I believe District Number 3, or he arrived in Sano. He's contesting for the senatorial seat going against Milton Tiaje, and there's a guy there who seems to be putting sand in the Gary, one dunking. We are making arrangement to have him here. It looked like he's cutting deep. Most of the folks that were already, even with the Unity Party, they are all defected to the ruling establishment. That's a little bit of trouble. But let's go into your playbook. 2022. What are you having your diary there? 2022, man, it was crazy. Politicians lying, opposition lying, government doing her own, everybody, ordinary citizen, everybody creating false news, fake news, subliminal messages, innuendos, all.
Well, Happy New Year to everybody. I was trying to cut a cake for my daughter. Decided she wanted a cake that has been frozen since November. And of course,
you don't get
it's the older sister, the 13-year-old, decided that we had her sister's birthday since November. The leftover cake has been frozen, and that's the one she wants today. So I've been trying to cut a cake that's been frozen since November. When you have too many women living in your house, that's the problem I got. But Happy New Year to you all. What I do remember from 2022 comprehensively is the unnecessary politicization of everything, the acidic nature of our political discourse, and the gullibility and incompetence of Liberian media. So nothing happens in Liberia without it becoming politicized. I mean, absolutely nothing, right? Which is a problem. And when they become politicized, there are very few people who are willing to be objective. You know, the sad thing is there are people that will see in front of their eyes and see an A, a giant A, and will pretend they're seeing a D. And I'm hoping that as we get closer to 2023 elections, as we are urging our people to make a decision that doesn't only affect their one man, one vote, but you have to know that your one vote as a decision you're making to affect everybody else. As we're asking people to make these decisions, that we too, the talking heads on these platforms, can be very objective. I do not support the governance structure of the CDC. But I have to be objective if they've done something right to say, yes, that they did is right. And I also have to be objective to call them out when they have not done so much right. But I have to be careful with the language that I use in disagreeing with people, whether it is, me as a Tewan Gonglo guy disagreeing with Unity Party and my uncle Joseph Boakai, or me as a Tewan guy disagreeing with the CDC and Dr. George Weah, or disagreeing with Mr. Cummings and the ANC. I have to use language that would inhibit or invite a conversation. But most times we use language that does not invite a conversation. Instead, we use language that invite a fight, an argument, an exchange of words where nobody gains anything. I don't get educated, and the next person who's coming in doesn't get educated, and we all just leave with our pressure really high. And so the acidic nature that has accompanied our political discourse, I'm hoping 2023 takes that away. I'm hoping I can disagree with George Weah without insulting him or insulting the presidency. I can agree with George. I can disagree with George Manawia without calling into question his competency. I can disagree with the leadership style and structure of Ambassador Joseph Boakai without being ageist and calling into account his mental acuity or whether he has the mental faculty to deal with issues. I can disagree with Joseph Boakai without running to his health situation and say he got a battery in his heart and be demeaning and derogatory. Similarly, I can disagree with the policy structure and the governance structure as espoused by the CPP without resorting to calling Cummings out of his name and being derogatory. And I should be able to listen to disagreements, to dissenting opinions without holding people to my academic standards. Now, when I'm in the classroom and teaching math, I have a learning target, and I expect my students to meet that target. And I expect my students to use math language because I have taught them math vocabulary. When I, however, am on a platform like this and we discuss in Liberia, for example, if somebody came up on this platform and decided to disagree with me, and they use wrong language as in subject and verb don't agree, I think what I'm praying for is that we can get away from critiquing the person's subject and verb agreement and actually talk about the essence of their communication. If somebody came on this platform and referred to me as she, and they're using past tense where present tense is supposed to be, and all the other pieces, and mispronouncing words, if I understand where they're driving, I don't think it adds to political discourse to try to shame that person on their ability or inability to properly articulate the way I want them to. As long as I understand what the point is they're driving at and they are Liberian, whether or not they have a degree or not, they also deserve the right to be heard and they deserve the right to be in our political space. And so for me, those are the things I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to a media that will be vibrant, that will be independent, that will not be gullible, that will not be sold, that can ask critical questions without taking sides. And we all know every human being is going to have a side. You're going to have a leaning, but at least suspend that leaning and be independent and be transparent. When you invite people to platforms, remember that they are your guests. They should be protected. Allow them to speak. If you ask them questions that they're not willing to answer, allow the audience to read into that and see that. And you don't have to be antagonistic. This doesn't have to be a bombastic exchange. I'm hoping that we can provide education on the way forward. We as an LPR can provide the way forward so that other media houses can borrow from us, that we can have an ANC guy and a CDCN and a Unity Party person and a Gonglo supporter argue the nuances of governance and the various pieces that are in platforms without resorting to insulting each other. So for me, that's what I'm looking forward to. I am an optimist, and I know Liberians can do it. And I'm hoping 2023 will be a year of a different political discourse where I can disagree with my brother and sister without wishing them harm and without celebrating when they're downfall.
Well, okay, that's the beauty of this network, and this is why we try to do everything possibly we can. We don't sanction voices here. We allow people. There's no question is stupid, and I think our behaviors and things that we do closes the door of good conversations, like you just alluded. There are other people, when they are talking, their main topic, their main idea is in the first sentence. Other people get it in the middle, and other people, they conclude. That is, they are trying to get at sources or trying to get the attentions of the audience. But the tendency of us, and I mean us, including myself, of being interruptive, being judgmental, and the media. Today's media is such that it's not helping the process as well. Even we see that here in the USA in elections, but then in our country where poverty rate is wearing the next year's kotsu, makes it very difficult. People have compromised their professions. I didn't see that much being displaced the days of people like Patrick Coleman, the late Gaswat Yamento, Joe Morris, Moses Washington, the late Minister Buya, C. Alenzon Carpet, all of those people. I'm not saying everything was perfect at the time, but professionalism was the hallmark, making sure that things being kept to standard. Over the people that are involved today, it has created another hurdle into these conversations. I'm not being very personal here. But there are a lot of things we're talking, and people are looking up to us, viewers, listeners. These people come to this platform. It's not because they want to be entertained. If they want to be entertained, they can play buka, they can play K or doll and all of that. But they are in desperation. They are in search of a news. None that they don't have the ability to go find it, but they are occupied with other people saying, we who take up this garment to lead this drive, who must be the objective. But you politicians, you analysts, you contributors, also in this tone of political correctness, defending your guys at all costs when it is indefensible. 2023 is here. Leaders of these political parties, they are not willing to take the political risk to even chastise and take definitive stand against some of their own surrogate supporters because they are afraid they could be bite when the going gets tough. The liberal. Let me bring you here. Sese kind of did a run through you, Kato. Here we are, 2023. Will we see before the 10th of January? Will we not come back here to be talking about this same thing again that we are talking about here? And it had to exclude the supporters. The supporters also drive wrong ideas, beliefs about those people that tend to strongly support for whatever reason. How can we cut through this corridor to create an open feed that people will see Liberia as the face, as the nation that we can have? Because where are these great politicians today? They are gone. They have been faded. They are faded away. But the Republic of Liberia is still standing tall. And I think that should be the key conversations of 2023. Let me just bring you in here.
Thank you, Mr. So. I agree with Sisi strongly, and I think when I used to have my own show here from time to time, it's always been my opening, and that we will criticize, but we will do it with responsibility. We will criticize, but we will do it with respect. Because while you sit here today, perhaps you don't agree with Dr. Weir, but the office itself is the office presidency, is the office of the Republic of Liberia. It is not the presidencies of CDC. So while you try to use some language that are colorful language that are to describe the presidencies or even Dr. Weir, what happened tomorrow? The person you want sits in there. Is that when you want the office to be respected? This has always been the issues that I have with many Liberians. However, Mr. So, just like everything else, it is not my place to tell them what to do or what to say. But if I come out here, and I've always said this, and I'm not ashamed of it. When I come out here, and I believe it goes for every one of us, once you open a camera, you have exposed yourself immensely. People can say things about you, they don't know you. So for me, the way I view it is if I come out here and say something that I know I'm certified with between my God and myself, that when I leave this platform and then go later, I'm not going to worry about it. It really doesn't matter what people say. I must do it with sincerity. That's what I try to do. And so, Mr. So, I think one thing we need to do is to change the narrative, to be honest with you. Every one of these people, every one of these candidates, and I'm not going to name all of them, but you know who all they are. They all have records. These people been around. They have written something somewhere. It might not be policy statement, but it's something that they deeply believe in. And what makes you think now that because the writing had been the written something their writing was done 10 years ago, which they believe in at the time, and now that they have given the opportunity to become president, that they are not able to go back into that and then bring that to part of their policy process. It's far removed. So what I'm saying is we need to challenge ourselves as well to do some serious research, if you want to call it that, of some of these people writing some of their statement. And nowadays with the media practitioners all over the media network everywhere, it's easy to find somebody writing somewhere. If it's not on video, it has to be a writing. We can discuss those things instead of trying to discuss personality. Let's discuss the process. Let's discuss how the person arrived at certain conclusion. Who wants to lead us, and do we have the ability to challenge that conclusion based strictly on logic? And if we put ourselves through that ringlet, you won't believe it. But you're also, by doing that, you're also learning, because whoever wrote that piece, their intent. It is us who's going to interpret their intent. And the audience that's watching us might not agree with us to say, no, I don't think that was the intent. Well, that's fine. That's why make it a public discussion. You put in, you get something out. You put garbage in, you get garbage out. Simple as that. So I think this 2023, I'm going to do my best. While I will be ridiculous from time to time, what I will also say, I'm ready to eat crow from time to time, but I will try my best to make sure that when I'm discussing, it is not about personality.
I said that you're struggling with certain when you say you will try your best. It's something, and it goes to us who facilitate this high call conversation. We have been politically driven. We have been politically driven.
Hold myself at a straight position. And therefore, let me use your common language that you use to describe me. I am unstable. Okay, politically, let's put it that way. No, but on a very serious note, I can't come out here and say, this is what I'm going to do when I don't know what tomorrow will bring. And as a liberal, you cannot. I've refused to tie myself.
Okay, before I go to Koto here, because 2023, I'm saying it starts as of tonight. I still find it difficult. We also must be holding ourselves responsible. How can one possibly imagine not knowing someone and you kind of try to explain about this person, but you profess that they don't know you, you don't know them?
Mr. So I don't have to know these people. I don't have to know. Like I just told you, I thought perhaps by me saying that, without me telling you why I defend or try to say something about Ambassador Bakai, I'm not a PhD. I don't even have a high school education, but I can read a little bit. The little Quran that I can read, I have gone through and have done some little background reading about Ambassador Bakai. And that's what I said earlier, that these people have something that they have put together. These people are educated people. So, for example, Ambassador Bakai, he has written a lot. He has been around. So he has not been working in isolation. Mr. So, it's 2023. The liberal is speaking. You can't do that. This is 2023. We're not going to bring those 2022 behavior, even though I'm not here to make friends. But please, let me have the opportunity to express myself freely, because this is America and we are free here in this country. Let me go on. Ambassador Bakai he's been around. and I'm sure he has record. So those of us who admire him, I don't admire him because the way he can dance. I don't admire him because the way he can talk. I admire him because things he have done that I have read. They might not be true to you until I am challenged. This is what you need to do for the liberal. Show me some of the things that you admire. Why you admire Ambassador Baka? That question has not been asked. Except it's
How can they
always
even have, okay,
it's
all
always
right.
come out to ridicule my admiration of Ambassador Baka. You always try to ridicule that people you don't know, they don't know you. Then you talk. No, Mr. Soul, this is not Toll Town. This is America, where we try to do the best we can at all times.
Okay, Koto, let me just bring you in here. And this is part of us. We ourselves should be held accountable. Sister said it, the liberal is into it. The political discourse in Liberia is toxic. Political leaders, and they are successfully coined this warrior. And this book has become an open eye to me into liberty hijack. It's not a position these people have, political leader. It's something that happened since the 1935 election, when these politicians successfully coined them to solidify their political grip. So they put themselves in the shell that we are leader. Without us, this can't happen. And that is just untrue. But sister says something. The insults, the lack of civil conversation to talk about our country, the opposition, the government, surrogates, TAP supporters. Okay, it's not even a good thing for ordinary people out there, but I just can't imagine strong supporters, good voices that could create a safer conversation and people will perhaps listen to them. And they can be persuasive if they can have that political tolerance, which is most of our politicians lack. He has created a toxic environment to the extent people can't talk to people. Your days, you die. Yeah, some of these rough edges will always be there. Here we are in 2023. Is there any hope that this sort of it will change? You calling the president, you call any kind of name, you convey him. But when they do on the other side, then we say, no, he's not supposed to do it because, I mean, and I know we saw the ridiculous part here with the Donald Trump, who was also a sitting president here, which has always happened. But if we want to have a civil conversation for the ordinary person in the village to understand, to be able to make informed decisions, do we have the guts? And these politicians, are they willing to take the risk? The risk that was taken by Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, who decided to protect the constitutions of the United States of America and look into the face of the sitting president and say, no, this is not right. Even though as tomorrow, day after, the new legislature will be inducted and they will be out of office. But guess what? I listened to him this morning. He said, I'm not just doing it for me, but to protect my country and my children, it will be a record. And he still stands by that. Do we have politicians in Liberia who are willing to sacrifice their political career, even if they are supporting Dr. Weah, they are supporting Ambassador Boyka, they are supporting Alex Cumming when it is when they do it the wrong way, they will say, hey, no, even though I support you, but this is not a path, this is not good for Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Soft. I think people who come to support candidates should be thinking highly on how you sell your candidate. Because what people don't know is this, that the very candidates are like commodities that you're going to sell. You have to market your commodity in order to encourage people to buy your commodity you have. It's the same as the candidates. you must come out to tell the people out there that this candidate is the candidate I believe in. And you must be able to show some effort or some uh, maybe profiles of these candidates that you believe in, that indeed this is what I believe in this candidate, and I think this is the reason why I want you to support this candidate. But the way I rather see people, oh come on man, your candidate get, like for example, Omer Baka, you go and say Omer Baka has a pacemaker. What pacemaker has to do with the man's ability to lead? Pacemaker does not have effect on your knowledge, your thinking faculty. It does not. It's only there to help, pump the heart level to stabilize it. That's all it is. It's not affecting your mental ability. You go and say Kumi, like for some people, Kumi has a background of a gay. Why how do you compute these things? For me, that's not politicking. Okay? That's not politicking. Think about what the man can do as a leader as compared to those petty, issues. Because what can the person bring on the table? What developmental orientation that person has? What mentality? What integrity he has? Okay, what the humility? Because when we talk about leadership, we talk about this thing: the integrity, the humility, the ability to lead, the ability to connect. And those are the things we should be looking at in a candidate. And one time, like we said, they sometimes put it in the sense of beauty pageant. Okay. In fact, this man is ugly. Oh, look at George, we are black diamond. People perception, those are not, criteria to become a leader. There are some people who beautiful, they don't, they handsome. But when it comes to their output, they don't have a good output. And becoming a leader it has to be a point where you have to be able to make decisions unilaterally, because you will listen to so many views. You have to be able to filter the views that you have gotten from other places to make a decision on behalf of your country. And that is a major issue that we have to look at, because if you can, it means you will be flip-floppy. Cesar can say this today, you grab that. Tomorrow, Mr. Tokan bring the other idea, and then you become confused because you're not filtering all of the informations you're getting from other people to filter them and digest it to break out an issue or a development. And for me, I'm saying, let's take out the various caps. Like if I'm having like a hat to say, okay, because Oberbreka is from my county, I go and take that. No, take those things out. This person is my trap, No, take those things. This man is my best friend, or this lady is my best friend. And I want us take those caps off and then sit down and critique these candidates. For 2023, let's do that. Because actually our decision will either be positive or negative, the way we make it.
Okay.
So let's sit down and filter it and let it be positive. Let
All
that
right.
attack personality.
Okay, so I think we all agree, our all learners, we're going to be picking some questions here. We want to engage into their ideas, their views, and we can express our views and opinion towards that. I'm going to be putting the number here, so why any of the contributors or analysts talking, a phone call comes in, we'll try to intercept that. And anybody who willing to come on a live view, also let us know. Let me just put the number here. You can call and make your contribution to the 2023 in review and why you could potentially forecast going into you forecast going into 2023. Sese, so it's a difficult one. Difficult in the sense that no one is willing to take a risk. And for this reason, the politicians are very successful, very careful who to even bring around them, because there are some people with bold face who look at their leaders. Yes, I think this one year, you need to take this decision. But they also have their handlers who create that sort of wall of Jericho, that corridor. And then you can be like the whole group, everybody kind of antagonize you to say, oh no, this guy, he wants to be the no man. He wants to be this. He wants to be that. I am worried about the future of the country. We are not having the conversations. And this is what I've said here on this network over and over. We need to take this narrative from the hands of the politicians. We need to drive this narrative. And that was one of the reasons they have been successful. We can't stop them because everybody have the freedom. They have built multimedia network, which of course also kind of there to push their soundbite. That is not being honest because obviously when I'm a senator, I'm a representative, if I get a media platform, for God's sake, what do you think going to be report? What sort of report going to be coming out of there? It's a challenge, but the very few that tends to be independent must also be able to create that sort of openness for the good of the country. For those of you who want to participate, that's the number there. Anything you want to express of 2022 that you thought as a Liberian, as a citizen, was just over the top. And maybe as we go into 2024, you can express your view. But again, I'm still going to argue it. We already into 2023, and we do not see this opposition. Nobody lifting their hands. And at the end of the day, there will be a baby cry. The former president said that, regretted that. The appointments of municipal to local governments is under the jurisdictions of the sitting president. So it is obvious. I'm not sure whether they are there now, registration, other things going on, whether they have their representative to also vigorously carry on conversations in those towns and villages. That is a disadvantage to them. One of the big news is the Emory Hospital. Whether we like it or not, whether the logistics going to be there, whether the hospital will be maintained to the 4 years up to the end of 2023, that's a different thing. But by just having that structure, that's a big takeaway also by the government, by the president, and the coming of the prime minister to witness those dedicatory ceremony itself is a plus that we can also admit. Mr. Goya, you support a individual, you support a candidate who is participating into this process. We're going to be let a cat eat your own baby a little by little as we in this sort of open conversation. How do you feel so far his activities? Don't you think it's time now that some sort of hand be lifted to give him the backing that he requires if he's to win the presidency? What is the hold up? What is really going on within the opposition column? I don't get it. I don't still understand. Samuel Doe lifted Molu by hand. Turbo did the same. When VP Green died, Turbo took Walnut to the Senate, to the TWP convention, and his hand was lifted. So this tradition has been there. Unless we have been playing, and of late politicians try to rewrite the history, and they say, no, it don't have to happen. But it has been going on and on. Okay, let's see here before you come in, Sissy. Let's see here. Let's bring in this caller here. 443 number 0321. Happy New Year and welcome on LPR. What's your name and where you calling from, if you wish to disclose yourself?
Happy New Year to all of you, the panelists. And my name is John Mawolo. I'm calling from Maryland.
Welcome, Mr. Mawolo. Okay, let's hear from you. You're 2022.
Thank you. I think I must remind the press. The press is a very important part of our society that needs to do their work like the expert they want to be. The work of the press is to educate. The work of the press is supposed to be a no-spin zone. You hear what the politicians say. You go do the research. You find out the truth. You come and say the truth. What the public do is not your business. But stop repeating what the politicians say that cannot be verified, and stop not doing your research. and just spilling our street talk. That's one of the things the press needs to do in 2023. If we love our country, we got to put the interest of that country first, regardless of friendship, tribal affiliation, party affiliation, or anything. Our country is dying, people. Our country is dying. And we need to put all our efforts from the bottom of our heart to do the right thing by ourselves, by our people, so that we can lift our country out of this mess. It's not funny that people spread lies and nobody fact checks them. It's not funny that people just come out and insult people and people sit down there, let them finish and say, well, don't do it next time. They already did. So we got to take that we got to take that responsibility first. The second thing we need to remember, there are truth and there is lie. There's no middle point. It's either right or it's wrong. We got to be fact checkers. What we're dealing with is an illiterate population mostly. They're listening to us to tell them the truth. We got to be sincere enough with ourselves to make sure we give the truth so that they will decide what they want to do with it. We shouldn't encourage people just to be spilling out things, please. I hope this 2023 be a fact-checking year. Stop loving people, liking people, or affiliating. No, we're going to do this for Liberia. We're going to do this for our children. We're going to do this for our electorate ones who depend on our knowledge to help them do the right thing. We're going to do this for Liberia, and we're going to make Liberia proud again. I hope we do that in this 2023.
Mangolo is there, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think you just spoke to the core balance on some of the elements of the press. The press, you're not for, you're not against the government. You just stand as a conduit to intercede, to educate, to tell the people. And that's exactly, but today's media has become more or less an entertainment industry, and people just enjoy doing that. But thank you so much for your comments, and please, always we here we welcome views, opinions that will help to enhance what conversations on this network. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you, and have a happy New Year to all of you.
You're the same. So, Sisse, I saw you tweeting.
Yeah, Mr. Maulo struck the point that I think I beat around a little bit, and we all been beating around here.
Caller, hold on 1 second. Let's just make a point. Hold on 1 second. 609 number. And
I think the bigger question here is the watchdog credible? Because the press is supposed to be the watchdog, right? Are they credible? And I think Mr. Maulo made a point here about fact checking people. You know, this whole thing about an alternate fact. We should not allow that to take hold in Liberia. There are binary choices. It's either zeros or ones. It's either on or off. It's either true or false. This whole thing about, there is a middle ground when it comes to fact and fact checking people, I think is wrong. And I think he made a salient point. Whether or not you are a journalist, whether or not you went to school for journalism, you are still supposed to be held to that to a higher level to be factual and to do your homework. If we're bringing somebody on this platform, it is supposed to be our responsibility to our audience to do our homework so that we can be able to fact check those people in real time. But sometimes you got lazy journalists doing the interviews. So they don't even know whether somebody's saying truth or false. And then after they do the interviews, they don't even go back to watch the interviews themselves and try to see, okay, can I come back after the interview and say, here is some clarification, here is what the interview we said, and here is where we find issues with that statement. We don't do that. They do the interviews and it's done and it's out there. So I think more than ever, the Liberian press ought to step up. I think the issue of the credibility of the elections, the fairness of the elections, the sustenance of our democracy rest upon a credible press that will not take side, that will see facts as they are and present facts as they are, even if those facts hurt their candidate. I'm on record for saying that the hospital, the Inuit hospital.
Caller, please, caller, you got to lower your monitor. I'm coming to you, but I think you're listening, so the audio coming back. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I told you hold on. And then I'm going to come to you. But Sissy, let's see here.
Let me go real quick because I think that caller wants to say something real fast. I'm on record for saying that
we're having a call from Liberia here.
Let the person go ahead.
Let's see what Liberia has to say here. Liberia number 6283. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Eddie Jibamu, calling from Morovia.
Which part, my dear brother?
You're calling from Lockington this morning.
Lockington. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you guys on the show.
Okay, let's hear from you.
Now, I just wanted to make some point that have to do with the presidency. And I listened to one of the panelists. He was trying to advise supporters of those political leaders, and even the political leader themselves, who always insult the presidency. You know, as we go to election 2023, we want people to go with integrity, convincing the voter why they should elect them as president. They should not insult the public against the government. You can easily campaign by convincing the electors, telling them, giving them substantive reason why they should not elect the government, why should not vote for somebody, but to cause chaos, incite trouble, cut liens at the presidency is not a good thing for the country. So I want to appreciate that person who was speaking and try to advise our people. I want to say thank you. I love the show. This is my first time. I just got, connected some kind of way. But I appreciate the show, and I'll continue to follow.
Some kind of way. Let me take this number here. Thank you that you got connected, and we're not millionaire. So I want to take your number. I want to send you. I'm going to send you a data by just participating, because and this is what we really find important here. People are listening, and so it takes people to have patriotism about their country to listen. So I'm going to get your number here. I'm going to take this number down. Maybe while on the air, I'm going to bless you. But don't ask me how much, anything you see there that, hey, Christmas, every day water put on fire, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the show.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get this. Yes, let's go ahead. Let me go to the 609 number.
Okay, so like the caller was saying, I think there are people that institutions that need to be here accountable. But one thing you keep saying that I wanted to push back on before the next caller can be Mr. So is the idea of local governments being appointed. Local governments in Liberia has always been appointed from time immemorial, and local government. We had a superintendent in Moserado County appointed by President George Weah, yet Darius DeLong won an election in Moserado County. We've had people who are mayors and clan chiefs and superintendents appointed by various governments, yet opposition political parties have been able to win elections in those places. So for me, I really don't see that as a major issue going into the 2023 elections, because we had the same situation when Ellen was in office and George Weah won an election in Moserado County. I think political parties, and I don't want to lump everybody into one group and say opposition, because even within that block, there are differences in ideologies and in governance structure as they hope it will be. But I think every serious political party ought to be looking at their own playbook. What are they doing? What have they done well? What haven't they done so well? Where are rooms for improvement? How do they move forward? But I think I'm trying to focus on the local governance structure that was not brought in by George Weah and the CDC, that's been there forever, and people have been winning elections. I don't think I really don't want to focus on that spot, because that would be giving a segue and excuse to lazy politicians who don't want to go out there and compete, but try to blame it on the fact that a superintendent is appointed and the mayor is appointed, therefore I could not compete.
Okay, thank you so much, Sissy. Let's go to this number. Thank you for being so patient. 609. Number your caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much for the panelists. I am a Liberian. I was born in Zozo, but I'm a farmer. I don't have education, but I want you to educate me to know. Is that a difference between a presidential aspirant and a presidential candidate? Because I hear people saying, Boyka don't want to show his running mate. Kwame don't want to show his running mate. Gongo don't want to show his running mate. These people have not yet filed any presidential papers with election commission, but you want to know their running mate. What sense is that? I went to school in Liberia. I got a high school diploma. But everybody on the platform making these mistakes. Boyka is not a presidential candidate. He's a presidential aspirant until he can file paper with the election commission that he intends to take part in the 2023 election. Then before he will become a presidential candidate. I mean, you're confusing our people in Liberia. All the three guys, none of them are presidential candidates. They are only presidential aspirant. And you're telling all now they should show their running mate to us?
What was the essence? Then let's have a little bit of conversation and we'll give you a turn. I believe one of these candidates, they had their convention, right? What was the essence of the convention? What do you do at the convention?
The convention?
Yes.
Is to choose their leader.
Okay.
The head of their party. Okay? So, who will be going for who they nominated.
Okay.
But in Liberia, you file presidential candidate in the general election. You got to file papers with election commission.
Yeah, but before that,
you are a candidate.
Before that happens, look, we got to get this information to right. It is owners of these late politicians. They have created this sort of self-imposed rule. All conventions, Samuel Doe Convention, NDPL Convention, Turbo, all of those people at the conventions, presidential candidate, they were able to lift the hands of their running mate, members of those contesting other lower and upper branches of government. They were all introduced. So where are we coming from that we have convention and we just walk through the doors?
With election commission, like you running to be president, without filing paper with election commission. Why can't I have not filed any paper with election commission? Kwame have not filed any paper with election commission to say he will be a candidate in the 2023 election. Gongo have not yet filed papers. But you have to platform and fool the Liberian people. What the man don't want to show his running mate. When you run a primary in America here, you have not yet won the primary. You will just go and announce running mate.
Okay, what happened?
Let me ask a question, please.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Cesar want to come. Then you speak to the issue of the convention too.
Yeah. So when the candidates fire with the election commission to be president for to contest the presidency, do they fire the name of their vice presidential choices, or do they only fire their name alone?
The what? The what now?
So say, for example, Joseph Boyka decided to fire as a presidential candidate. Will he fire the name of his running mate or not?
He will do it with a vice presidential candidate.
That's what we're saying. So before that time, you got to make that choice. So that's what we're saying. Before you go and fire, why don't you make the choice now so we know?
It's still banned in Liberia.
You are banning it. We're trying to get it straight in, and you guys still want to ban it. So you see, you are giving justifications of
one last thing, though, Mr. So. One more last question. One more last thing. I hope the caller is aware that even with all of his technicality, that Joseph Boyka group has announced that he's going to be making an announcement of his vice presidential candidate. The same thing with Alexander Comey. So is the caller telling us that we should that Joseph Boyka is going to file with NEC before he makes that pronouncement, that we should look forward to that?
He's going to file the paper with whosoever he wants them to run with him.
Oh,
but
my
before
goodness.
he can do that, he can't come out to tell who a running mate is. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We respect your view.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
Opinions here. But you see, and that's the challenge that we have, because the convention is the one that is responsible to accept the nominee, to say this is the person. This person will be going to Nima as a senator. This person will be going to my own county Grand Gide as a representative. Now these people, so it's just, but and that's where the other guy, the first caller, these are the responsibility. Let's have a conversation, folks. You please bear with me. Let me put power in this thing here a little bit here. Let's have a conversation. Koto, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. So. And I really want to be thankful to Mr. Mauro, because it is true that whether you are a journalist or you talk show host coming on the Blue Eye to discuss issue, is your responsibility to give the people facts, or the truth about whatever issue you will be discussing. And what people don't realize is this: whatever you said here, or whatever you do on the Blue Eye is going to be there forever. Those are things that are going to be checking on you on. What you have said, what you did, is not going to erase from there. For some people who will store this, it's a resource for the rest of the time. So we have to be careful how we speed up information here. And that's why actually for me, I don't, if I don't know for anything people break off, I don't like to discuss that issue. I will tell you I don't know about it until I will know the truth about it. Then I tell you, yes, I know this for fact. Because you don't come and give people wrong information, and tomorrow they get in front of the truth, you are going to be made ugly or look at bad. So it is true that what we should be doing is to actually say the truth. Because what people do is this: if they feel that the other candidate is not their candidate, they try to look for all kinds of lies, and speed it up on a person. You don't want to support them, just don't support them. Don't try to lie on a person because you don't want to support them. I think it is that actually I took into consideration, Mr. Mauro. We have to be careful of what we put out there, because I actually going to be representing us there.
All right, Riverside Pro, the number is out there, man. 682-433-8802 is here in the white. The Liberal.
Yes.
We have forces to deal with. We have the politicians to deal with. We have the surrogate, and the other supporters that are out there who just get a little minimal segments of what is happening in terms of what should be done, but we want it to be done in our way. It becomes a challenge to navigate through that process of creating a conversation to thereby is good for the country. For this reason, we get a divided house. We get a polarized house. We have a system where I can go to this network because when I go there, what I want to hear will not be said. They will not talk about it. So people become more or less, become a little bit personal of certain things they want to hear. But that's not who we are here. Sometimes you agree with us, sometimes you will disagree with us. Go ahead, Labor, before I pick up this caller. I try to pull.
No, go ahead, pick up the caller. It's New Year.
Okay. Oh, wow. I heard that New Year still there, though. Say you
Don't push it. I know some thinking about it for the show.
Call up 410 number. Yeah, 410 number 1243. Good morning, good evening. What's your name and where you calling from? Hold on 1 second. We're not hearing. How come? Hold on. Say it again. Yeah, can you speak into the phone? Why you sounding so low? I'm not hearing you at all, and that's the right connection is on here. Can you check your number, please? Your line? Wow. Okay, let me see here. Hello? Hello? Hold on. I hope I don't disconnect something here. Yeah, hold on. Everybody's sounding very low here. What's going on? How can something to not
But
give?
can you hear me?
I'm hearing you. Yeah, I should be able to hear these people. I don't know why are they. Hello, caller, are you there? Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Let me do it away. Hold on. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so this me, Pro. Mr. Pro, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Same to you. Welcome to the show. Let's hear from you quickly.
Oh, okay. I just want to listen to Mr. Maunlo and other people concerning the role of so-called media in the diaspora. Well, I just want to express the level of inconsistency and double standard on the part of a lot of these same people that are calling because you know when a particular group doesn't favor their candidate and say negative thing about the candidate, they hail that particular group. I mean, or don't hail that. When it is the other way around, then they gravitate towards the person. That's how they operate. I have seen. Let me tell my man, I don't mean to be personal, but you did Fagon. This guy is one person that I don't really follow a lot. This guy used to spew the Congo and native divide. Everybody's scorning him at that point. But now this guy is the poster boy of the opposition. He all over places and they're going there, and ANC people, Unity Party people, they're going there. Every word that comes from him more like a messiah. I watch show for ANC people and Unity that say, George, we are rape little boys and other things. No, quality must have a limit. Just like when you go to the United Nations the building over there in New York, they say war must have a limit. When you spring on nonsense, that is not politics. When you're trying to destroy somebody's entire character just because of political thing. I listen to a lot of terrible things. I watch all their shows, ANC, go all over the place. I go there and Mr. Sue, some of these things that come from these people mouth, when you listen to it, you won't even believe they are Liberian. So they need to check themselves before they even talk about other people, because they are the same reason that all these lies and distortion, deception, everything going on within the Liberian media. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. Words expressed on this network does not in any way represent LPR, but sometimes we facilitate these hardcore conversations. Thank you so much, bro. You're welcome. Yeah, go ahead. Another caller will come in, but I gotta be on way. Yeah, the Liberal.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I really don't know which way to go on this here, because I think we ourselves, those of us that have the opportunity to be on this platform and things like that, we have to set the pace on this here, Mr. So. And I think we're trying, at least I have, and then I believe all of us here trying our best to see which way we're going. I think the questions about the surrogate and those kinds of stuff, if we start dealing with them, and then they are leading us, where you yourself have said that we want to take this conversation away from the politician and let's lead that. And the way I think we can do that effectively will be for us to come out and deal with the policy, that if any one of these people wins, based on these policies, the lives of Liberians will be changed. It is not about the surrogate. It is not about who coming out to insult. If the Liberians want to gravitate towards certain person who is a good cusser, let them go. But here on Liberian Public Radio, I think we need to do our best to stay away from these questions that will generate a negative response, or that will try to lead us into going in a way of not personal, but at the same time deviating from the policy of these individuals. I think if we lead ourselves to the policy process, I think we will do ourselves a good favor. And once again, Mr. So, I think also, if I have many experience on that. When I used to have my show, which I'm going to do very shortly, when I talked about the engineering roles and things like that, not many people will want to engage, and I'm not too sure why. But then again, perhaps it's not subject matter that they found intriguing. In that, if I were to come up and say how tall President Weah is, and stuff like that. People will start, oh yeah, oh that what you say? Okay, but watch this, that's what the public enjoys a lot. And they enjoys people degrading each other. That is what they've used to. But I think we need to change that to say if you want to follow, we shouldn't care much about who wants to come to our platform. We should care much about what we give out there, what we put out. There will be people that will gravitate towards you. There will be people who perhaps will be in line with the kinds of subject matter that you're bringing. But when we come into this discussion and start discussing, this person seems to be weak, or these people are not putting for setting ideas, or this surrogate is not doing this, then I think, because once you start going that route, I think, and I'm ready for that. You know me, I can go any way it comes. I'm ready. I'm a liberal. I'd evolve. So those kinds of stuff won't stop me from contributing. But the main thing here is what I think the 2023 would do for us here on this platform, Mr. So. And I think we need to perhaps change course a little bit. We can still discuss Liberia and the Liberians, those who want to lead us. We can have that discussion. For example, we can say, who are they? And tax ourselves to separate the individual by coming out and going into their profile. Who are they? And we can do that respectfully without mentioning age, without mentioning what tribe they come from. Well, what tribe they come from, that will be part of the profile, but without mentioning certain things that have nothing to do with their leadership abilities. I think if we do that, Mr. So, we will do well. And I will do my best here. And again, let me use that word. I will do my best to try to stay away from subject matters or languages or description of each of fellow Liberians that perhaps I would not want anybody to describe me using those languages that I will try to stay away from, Mr. So.
I think it's setting a lot of red lines here, what to talk, what not to say. Sissy, I try to process what a liberal is trying to say.
Man, I'm just here enjoying the epiphany and the resolutions the liberal got. Just so you know, I'm going to keep this. I'm downloading this and keeping it. but on a serious note, I think the liberal struck a point, and I think Riverside Pro is trying to make a point here. And by the way, full disclosure, I've seen Riverside Pro on so many platforms. When I'm low-key watching, he will be there interacting. It doesn't matter whose platform it is. So this guy has a high tolerance for going in places where people will just sometimes...
Oh, yeah. He can go in lion den, I'll tell you.
I gotta give him credit for that. He has a very high tolerance for that. Sometimes I turn those shows off and leave when they really raise my blood pressure, but he will be there. I'll come back and see the guy stay there like, wow. But having said that, I think what Mr. To is trying to push at is there is a difference between C-SPAN, Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN. How many people watch C-SPAN? C-SPAN is where you go when you really want to hear policy and intellectual discussion of policies and governing structures and governing ideologies, where people look at the various platforms and they get people called in who are policy wonks, who will actually discuss the issues. In America, C-SPAN has a very low. I turn C-SPAN on when I'm about to sleep, and then I just listen to it in my sleep and sleep with it on, right? But a lot of people go to Fox News. A lot of people go to MSNBC. The Democrats like us, we run to MSNBC. The conservative Republicans before used to run to Fox News. Now they run to the One American Network, the OAN, right? That's where they run. And so we have become so tribal in our information gathering, information consumption. If we go to places that feed into our mindset, and that is not good for any democracy. America can survive with such a thing because they've been at this work, this democratic work for a very long time. We are a young democracy. We got to be careful with what we borrow out of the U.S. and what we take back to our country. And so I really think that is the point. And so I think there are two things playing here, and I wanted to just lay that point real quick. There is a difference between me, Sisi Goya, if I become a political spokesperson for Tiawan Congo, the way I would present the truth. I might massage the truth because that is my work, right? It is left with you, the media, to push back on me. And there's a difference between me, Sisi Goya, as it is right now, who just support Tiawan Congo. I am not his spokesperson. I am not in the campaign. The way I can be able to push back and lay out some facts. So here's an example. If I am the spokesperson for the CDC, I will come here and say, George, we are getting free education and it's cheap to go to school. It's been cheaper to go to school now than it's ever been in the history of Liberia. I can massage the fact there is free education in post-secondary school. That is a fact. Now, whether or not it has been the cheapest to go to school since the founding, that's left with you, Mr. So, to go, whoa, let's check that. This is how much it costs before, this is how much it costs now. There is a difference between that versus you saying, oh, man, excuse the language, you lie, you're stealing, and you can't provide facts. Right, so I think that is the difference. Is yes, people will come if they are paid their impositions. I don't expect a United Party partisan to come here defending Joseph Boakai and talk about all of the bad things that Ellen did during Ellen rule when they know that will be tied to Joseph Boakai. Absolutely not. I don't expect that. But I expect the people who are doing the interview or who are laying out the platform, whose platform Liberians are coming to get educated, to be able to ask them. To be able to take away that the massaging that they've done to the truth and present the bare naked truth to the extent possible. And I think that is what is missing, and that's what we ought to do. Because tomorrow there will be one of us saying, I am a spokesperson for this campaign, and I'll come on the same platform, and then I try to massage the truth, and I'm hoping that you can push back on that. Because you say, whoa, Cece, when you were here, this A, B, C, D, E, how come now this? I think that is what people are looking at. It's not that we should have that credibility, but that we should do our homework to be able to push back when somebody comes and try to massage the truth right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, and I think there is a big difference, which of course a lot of people still yet to find. You have people who doing public relations, propagandists for these institutions. So such a person's on the talking point is quite different from someone who is a journalist and try to get an issue. So a propagandist of a particular campaign, he or she is not going to verify information. No. When I get it, I run with it. I will manufacture it. I will add onto it. But a professional person, it doesn't matter what are you against or whatever. It's not a matter of it's not about feelings. But if I got an information here and I know I want to get the actual information, it's about the president, Boyka, Cummings. There are so many ways you can do it. You can send them an email. You can send them a text. You can call. And sometimes news for us or for me, and we all know here when news come, we don't just read up and 3 seconds you're breaking news. No, because you have to give people the space. You have to verify that news. At least 3 sources. If I send message to maybe the chairman, I waiting for the Secretary General, official person, not just any kind of person who because of this. No. I mean someone who close to the authority, and that this sort of person speaks for the institution or for the party. That's what you do. But when somebody who are propagandist, when they get the information, hey man, that's a good talking point. They will throw it into their group chat. They will throw it into their column. Guess what? Tonight, something we get this. And that's the same thing. the Fox News. You want to hear something about people? Go to Bill Cunningham. Listen to Sean Hannity. Listen to Laura Ingraham. I mean, it is. Why you think people like Chris Wallace and all of those people who sees the profession as a different thing? Even though I've been there these years, but I think enough is enough. They gotta go because they just do not want to distort the truth. So it's it's a very dicey, slippery ground.
But let me push you. Let me push back on you. Let me push you a little bit because you're making some points here, but you're also not just a moderator. You're also a leader of this network. So then the question to you is, which way do we go? Do you want us to go the way of Fox News, or do you want us to go the way? Which way do you want us to go?
And it,
Because we can't come
it's capable
here,
of being
for
Fox
example.
News, just so you
and
know, he's skippable.
That's why
Excuse me?
this guy's authenticity of his saying being a liberal. Liberal have a definitive position. We know
Well,
what.
but no. I just read it. I just read to you the liberal here definition,
Reading
Mr.
it, but you are
But
not.
let me. I'm just asking you. No, on a very
So
serious,
it's
Mr.
not a
So.
matter of which way to go. We here, everything you do is about your own integrity. You gotta be honest. That's what I'm saying. We do, be yourself. We should be ourselves. We can't
I
be
agree. I
other
agree. No, I'm not questioning that.
people.
You said you started naming different here in the United States. You started naming different media platform, and and we all watch those platforms. When we all have our own interpretation of those platforms and which way they're going. I understand that, but Sissy made a point here to say perhaps we must try to stay away from where we borrow from here and try to take that back home. There are certain shoes coming from here will not fit us because we're not there yet. So now the point is, we are here on Liberia, and this is the first day of the year, and this is the election year. And I'm just saying, and this is what we do here that I really enjoy because these kinds of conversations should have been done closed door. But we're not. Well, we have nothing to hide. Under your leadership, we have nothing to hide. And so I'm just asking, under your leadership, which way you think we need to go? Do we go with whatever we try to do, let it tailor towards Liberia and the Liberian politics, or we try to say this is what the people do here in the United States, and therefore that kind of stuff? Is that what we're going to be doing?
Look, again, we don't sanction voices here, even though he has much say has made his point. But let's also bear in mind a greater portion, greater chunk of our democracy is sort of embedded or is adopted within this sort of American system, and we want the best out of our country. All I'm saying here, we must be honest, we must be sincere, and not be too partisan driven. To say, oh, because I'm from CDC. Oh, let me see. Let me get this person here before caller, are you there for 410 number?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Sko.
Good
Hello?
evening. Yeah,
Yes,
welcome.
we're taking my call. My name is Joseph Conto, and I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina, sir.
Mr. Conto, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. The Libra, Mr. Goya, and Sis Conto, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for always being here to follow through. Calling this evening here, I think there's something big in here. Let's hear from you. This whole Liberia endless story, the media, the electors, the follower, the surrogate, the political guys call themselves political leader. Who's screwing up here, my man?
Well, I think what's going on here is that the media is the biggest problem that we have. Because the people listen to people in the media. But then it is those people in the media that are putting out information out there that are not verified. The people took those information and read it. For example, when Mr. Jefferson Coaches had his press conference recently, he said that they were contemplating on bringing the ANC into the coalition because they need to bring people together who they know, I'm paraphrasing, who they know that, will move the country forward. People grab it and said, well, Mr. Cummings and the ANC have already signed an agreement, with the CDC, it went everywhere. That was the topic throughout. And another thing is when some of these journalists go to interview these people, it seems like they don't do the research. They go up there, oh, they ask a question like, oh, how you doing? What you ate today? And what happened to your house? And how many bucket of water and stuff you have? That's not what the Liberia people need. Let's take, for example, in Greenville, Suffolk County, right now, as I speak to you, in that hospital, the only hospital that there, it is the only referral hospital in Greenville, Suffolk County. There's only one nurse there right now. There is no doctor whatsoever. One nurse. Even though I'm not going to call the name of the nurse, but she alone is on that shift, and she been on it for the past several days. People say that these journalists are not going to the places to pick up these things to bring it to the forefront of the Liberian people. We talk about hospital bill in Babu County. Well, there's hospital there in Greenville, Suffolk County. You only got one nurse on the whole shift. Why is that? But we forget about all these things. We get at each other throat and whatever, which is not doing anything good for the Liberian people. And it will not work now. It wouldn't work tomorrow. Speaking about the local government in Liberia, when I was growing up, in fact, during President Doe days, certain mayors were elected. They were not appointed.
Yes.
They were elected. In fact, there's a man here in Minnesota. He's a reverend now. They call him Reverend Edward Carter. He ran for mayor seat in Benton City, and he won. That was during the days of Doe. So I don't know how everything just changed after the war. We know that the superintendent thing were appointed, but not city mayor. They were not. Those were elected positions. So I don't know how it changed today. But even at that, if you love your country, it doesn't matter if the president, nominated you or whatever. You should be able to serve your people, not the president, but your people. Thank you so much for taking my concern.
Mr. Joseph Conto, thank you so much for being one of our primetime followers, listeners. I mean, and that's what we intend to do here, to accommodate voices. You can call and disagree with us. The only person that freaked out so much here about people is this liberal guy here. Oh, this one here talking to him, then he go. I mean, every little thing gets.
Mr. So, the people love me. You know that. You know that. I am well loved on this platform.
I call a conference, and then you go in the conference. Hey, who against me? Who gonna say what? Well, okay, the people love you. Yeah, but and to counterpoint, and you see, well, I can question what he says. Right? He gathered his information. It's left with me now. Like I know people in Sano. We will place a call. The only frustration, the only challenging part here also, sometimes when we try to do a follow-up on information, these people listen to us. I put out the statistics here, but people that follow us, and I think let me just put that up again, just to argument. Hopefully I get it in the column here still. And that's why we need to be sincere here. Let me see here. Hopefully it's still here. Okay. This is it. You see, countries, agenda, stuff. Look here, I was surprised. I was shocked. Listen, top countries, Liberia, United States, Nigeria, Ghana, Belgium, blah, 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 blah. But look at Liberia, 65.1% that people that listened to us. And then when you come to the city here, you see a top city here, Monrovia, 59.1%. People that listen. It breaks it down into age and gender. We need to do well with women. Women, they're doing too much grander in politics. Not all, but so probably that's the reason. You see, women, yes, 34.3%, men, 65.7%. So it means people are listening. And it is extremely important that when we come to this public forum, we need to put aside. Let me say this, because at the end of the day, when this person, he or she wins it, this is what they're for me. It's not even guaranteed. You don't even know whether they're going to give it to you. It's part of it. Yeah, go ahead, Koto.
Yeah, Mr. Content point he made, I wanted to speak on it just before he actually.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
You made mention of some development that the government is carrying on, and people are not, earmarking or checking on these or talking about these projects that the government is undertaking. But again, you undertake project for the Liberians to benefit. But if it is not beneficiary, then it becomes difficult for people to actually discuss on it. Because, see, for example, the Amarid Hospital that we see that is all talked about. And not only Contour that is talking about it, because for me, I'm in the health era. There are people in the health era that we are talking about right now, and that's just the fact. We may not have the statistics right now to actually give the statistics up here, but they don't have doctors and nurses to cover the hospital. And this is a serious thing. You cannot build an institution and you don't have the problem to maintain it. And that's the problem we have in Liberia, maintenance. We only
So,
think about how to build institution, but how to maintain the institution is not put in place. And because of that, we come back and say these things were not done. Oh, the people didn't do this. That was not done. If they are done, but what breaks it down is the maintenance aspect of them. And we come out today with that's why you see most people saying, oh, Erin didn't do this, Erin didn't do that. There are some roles that were done. Once they were not maintained, people don't come out to say these things were done. JFK, for example, I know that JFK was maintained on Ellen Johnson, but did they keep out the maintenance and these things? That's why you see even here as we are, we see like every 3 months, like 6 months, you carry on the maintenance of this institution to upkeep the institution. But if you are not carrying on the maintenance, then it's just not done. People will not realize your effort you made. So that's why I'm actually saying it is a good idea, really. I appreciate the hospital is being built. But the problem is what is serving actually the purpose for which it was built. Because we still have the military hospital, which
so
is not equipped to stand up yet. We still have medical equipment that are not set up, and we still have uh, nurses and doctors that are not available to upkeep these institutions. And we also have a referral hospital like JFK and Phoebe that are not equipped to stand up. You still have nurses, and we have financial issues with this thing. So when you coming out to build new one, we expect that these things will have been there and say, okay, since these are there already, let me build others that will supplement the referral. So that's the point I have with just building and say I built, I did this, and not the maintenance aspect of it. That's why I see on.
okay, so with respect to that, I just don't like to jump here, but I did reach out to Dr. Keto, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt because I
Yes.
wouldn't imagine people building something and without having some sort of a contingency plan on it. I'm not going to come here and question that people are going to build a facility that no doctor going to be there, no this going to be there, no that going to be there. Let me hear from the house's mouth, because this is where the problem is, because we have different groups of people, one taking complete political line when even if it is a humanitarian stuff, and you have other people who defending it at all costs. So I always like to get to the authority that have the information. And like he promised, after the season, which is a fair deal, we all know it's a holiday and stuff and things now, so I don't expect. But again, we'll do a follow-up. We have heard a lot about the Emory Hospital. The dedicatory, it was fabulous. We hope and pray everything there, because it will help to contain a lot of things that are happening out there. But I think it would be fair enough when you have the chief medical officer of the country. I reach out to one doctor, and it's protocol everywhere. Even when you can just get her, even here, you can just get her and go speak on anything without without the proper authority knowing. So, but he promised after the holiday, we hopefully will have that conversation. By then, I was talking to our guy who is also in Lpr-Tv to get some information and see what will commensurate with what he's going to be saying. But I will leave it as it is. on the status of that until I hear it, from the house's mouth, the functionings of the hospital, what the general public needs to know. I think that will give you a fair conversation.
Yeah, because we even with the schools that we see people talking about, oh, no school were built, no school were maintained. I happen to work with the MOH rehabilitation project at the time what's it, Taylor, right? They had this Taiwanese fund that came in to rehabilitate the hospitals, like current hospital, Phoebe, and even the health ministry, that they rehabilitated all of these various schools, the multilateral schools. But you see, because of this maintenance that had not been kept up, it's like nothing was done. Okay. The Tarawayan Hospital also was one of the projects that were
That's
done.
one of the old age problem that we have been having in the country, and for whatever reason, the government or people, those authorities, they will have their own explanation for that. As a matter of fact, but that's his old age, and that's not a good excuse for us because we want to be able to.
I'm struggling here. When infrastructures are built, a dedication is different from an opening. The second thing is, it is upon the shoulders of the political leadership, political administrative leadership of those localities, and B, the national government, to ensure that the maintenance of those infrastructures are in the national budget. This is the reason you have legislative caucuses. Because when you are going to vote on a national budget, Lofa County Legislative Caucus is supposed to ensure that Telawayan Hospital maintenance is in national budget. That is the pork that you take back home to the people when you go back for your legislative consultation. My people, we managed to put this much money in for the Lofa Community College. We managed to put this much money in to sustain our government partnership with the current hospital in Phoebe. The current hospital in Salsa, rather.
In Salsa.
But if you don't do that, then we sit here and spin our wheels. The president, through his part, whatever collaboration he did with outside government, has built the structure, the Emirate Hospital. Now it has to be upon the citizens of not just Bapolu, but those surrounding counties that will benefit from that, to make sure that they advise their representatives to ensure that when the budget is being discussed, that they make sure that there is an amount in there to sustain and staff those places. But they don't do it. And then we come back and complain always about the president. What is Ellen time? We complain about Ellen. You know how many schools were built with the United Nations UNICEF in Bomi County that are now in forest, because the United Nations was handling it. And when the United Nations left, they turned it over to the government. Government cannot sustain it. So those places have become bushes, simply because the legislative caucus does not go to say we need money in the budget to make sure that we got teachers in their school, to make sure that we are sustaining the repair of these schools. All they look for is their brown envelopes. And then we come back and complain on Ellen, or we complain on George Weah. This is where, for me, my frustration comes in, that we don't hold our local elected government officials accountable, the representatives and the senators and the superintendents. The superintendent is supposed to be the person who is the administrative head of the county. They're supposed to be taking stock of these things and telling his or her legislative caucus, look, we need this help, we need this help, we need this help. Can you make sure this is in national budget? Those discussions are not held. Only time those people come together to my knowledge is when there's money for county development fund and they want to see who's going to take what portion of it.
So let me push by a little bit on Brother Sisse argument here, which is fair enough. But I'll turn it the other side. here in California, for example, when you start a new role, or even not just construction, I mean, design of a role, first you are mandated to consult with the maintenance people in the area to know exactly what exactly you're putting in there, and as to whether they have the ability to maintain it. One. In Liberia, on the other hand, the leadership themselves, they do not consult the beneficiary who's supposed to be in there to be able to see, for example, the hospital that we're talking about now. I can bet that there was no consultation of the environment, the surrounding group. Because if you are sincere, if these people are sincere, the leadership, they will consult the people who are going to benefit the end user to say, this is what we're bringing. But these are the process that you have to do in order for you to be able to maintain. The government is here, but you need to have your leaders, legislatures, to be able to be involved. I agree. I'm taking it a different route. I'm not saying that your point was wrong. I'm taking it a different route. It should come, that kinds of conversation should start, sincerely start from the executive to inform the people. To say we're going to, first of all, the executive have to tell the people the reason why they selected that area to put the hospital in there, to make the people in that area to be part of the process, thereby informing them. You have people like Jonathan, who is a legislation analyst, should be part of that government going around to talk to the people to say, I'm saying if he's not in the opposition, I'm just saying if you are a member of the executive, and they should have people like that to go with the president, to go with whoever's going to start, and then you inform the people what are some of the things you need to do in order for you to be able to have a hospital that you can sustain through the leadership of your county. Because guess what? Without these kinds of conversations, if Judge Weah and CDC leaves tomorrow, the hospital issue over there will only be there like a clinic. But why if this next government comes in and don't pay attention to it? What are you going to do? Who's there going to represent you? So the conversation should start from the executive to see who's going to benefit. Those who are going to benefit must be informed of why, how, and what they need to do to maintain that place.
Okay, let me go before I make my point. Hold on 1 second. Let me just go to the caller. You speak, then I will come on. 763 number. Good evening. What's your name?
Okay, good evening. This is Linaro Boy. How are you today?
Well, can you say, what's your name?
My name Boy.
Okay.
Linaro Boy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good evening. Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, I'm following the show and listening to they're talking about the maintenance of whatever that is done in Liberia. I want to say from a clear cut that all of these things are put in the budget. The situation here with Liberia is accountability, it's transparency. These things are put in, but there are people who take this money and put it in their pockets. So whatever they decide to do for the county or for whatever building that they build, there are people who take this money and there's no accountability because there's no transparency. Because no one's seeing exactly where these money are going to. They're pocketing this money. There's no way they will tell me in the government that they will build a building with all understanding that the building needs maintenance. There is no way. So I will tell you from a clear cut that these people are pocketing all of this money for maintenance. Thank you and God bless you.
Yeah, I try to wrap the arguments of the liberal, but the liberal will always be a liberal. I'm wondering here if the liberal is saying that the erections or the building of a hospital is isolation with the people without their knowing. I don't think so. I don't want to reach to that judgment yet until I have the opportunity. And another component of this here is,
Mr. So, I don't mean to interrupt, but just from the past experience, I can definitely tell you that these people, perhaps the leadership,
and that's what I came for. The past experience you're talking about that's one of the failed policies of our national leaders, because if they see George Weah is there, Samuel Doe were there yesterday, Helen Johnson Sirleaf. So they see these people initiated as personal, these are national government, national, they are not individual personal money. They are not a private hospital or private initiated. Those are national a project that any administration comes out, they should be able to, in collaboration with local municipal legislators, to provide funding at all times to maintain the institution. Unless some kind of person come in, okay, this was built by Helen Johnson Sirleaf and it was built by Joy, we will make sure we kill it.
So we don't even have to go back that far. Let me just give you an example quickly. And I'll continue to make reference to that because that's the area that I know of, and I dare anybody to question me on that because I'm not taking backseat of anybody. The road, the Doe community road. When they started building, there was no consultation. You can tell, because at the very end, when President Weah went there that day to dedicate the project, what was the main point he was facing? To say we give you the role so that your children will not walk in the water anymore to go to school. But I'm begging you, the role, they're not role for you to do mechanic on. They're not role for you to start facing car on the sidewalk. They're not role for you to start facing brakes on the sidewalk. So when you hear the president giving that kinds of instruction, that means there was never any issue discussed during the pre-construction process, whereas that was supposed to be the for example, if you're taking the road to the community, what if I was in charge? You take the road to the community. First, you ask the community, do you know why we selected you for this role? And you give the reason. Do you know why we say that you're going to be the one to benefit from this role? And you give the reason. By doing that, and this has always been my argument, by doing that, it's not like you're asking the community to approve for you to approve of it before you carry a project in the community, but you want that community to take ownership. When the community take ownership of that.
In terms of what?
In terms of the whole project, to make sure that they are part of that process. Because once they do that, they will guide it. I give you another example. When I was in Liberia, the public work, and this is a true story. I don't remember the name of the street now. I don't know much of the street, but there's a street from Iadawe. When you come from Iadawe Junction, AB Tower Road. When you go to AB Tower, as soon as you go under that overpass, there's a road that leads there that go on the left-hand side. Public work were doing some work in there, and then they decided to put some dirt on it. Well, the people in the community felt that the taxi driver and the pimping boys, they were taking too much speed and the dust were coming out. Guess what? They decided to do a reverse speed bump. They dug a hole. And I got out of my car and measured it. They dug a hole 2 feet wide, about 1.5 feet deep. So that when you get there, your tire go broken, you got to stop. And when you see it, you slow down. Because the community felt within themselves, why should we have dust like this when the people are not taking time? If these people are being informed, and I asked one of them, they said they didn't even tell us before we look. Probably was just putting dirt on your facing the road. They didn't even tell us.
How many persons in the community? You asked one person, said they didn't.
Mr. So this was the guy that was digging. There was one of the guys that was digging, that were putting hole in public road.
Your son is so ridiculous here again.
What do you mean?
Is that how we're going to start with 2023?
Excuse me?
Is that how we're going to start with 2023?
I'm giving you some of the past wrong mistakes that they made. And I hope those mistakes are not repeated. Same thing with Ralphie Highway. There was no consultation before the law people start. They just start get up and say, we're buying it. Instead of telling the people there is a limit. We have a right of way here, and you are in the right of way. You know what, Dr. We are told them they don't want people to move out of that right of way, even though it's a government place, and they decide to pay them off. Mr. So, you know, those are the kinds of mistakes that I'm hoping our brothers and sisters will get out of.
This guy gonna give me a headache this 2023. Crazy, man.
I will be factual. I'm not gonna come
real
here.
Quick, I got guest here. It's New Year. I gotta run.
Yeah, we were saying
Happy New Year, everybody.
Saying thank you so much.
Same to you. Same to you, Sensei. Thank you.
Up here.
We'll meet tomorrow.
I want to make a point quickly here. We'll soon be, I think we're going to get up much sooner tonight. Make a point.
Yeah, another point I wanted to add on was that before construction go on, erection goes on, there has to be a population consideration, because the intention is the population you have there to be able to consume that or to be able to accommodate them. And sometimes, like what we were saying, you build an institution and the population is not there to benefit from such an institution. What demographic actually was they looking at to, you know?
What are you making reference to specifically?
That is population.
Yeah, no, I mean where.
For example, that for schools, for hospitals, and then you have to look at the population within an area.
So let me ask you: are you saying these things are being built randomly because they want to execute them? Is that what you're saying, or what?
Yeah, that's what I look at. When you look at, for example, I'm not saying that it was a bad thing of erecting in Bapolu, but looking at the population there and the advertisement or so far about it, how many person actually will go in that area? The accessibility.
Do you think it's just restricted to Bapolu?
The accessibility of the road also to go to that hospital. You take all of that into consideration, because if you build a hospital, no road accessibility there, and the population is not there, it's not going to be for the purpose.
So then let me ask you. You think the constructions of the Emory Hospital, do you think it's limited to only Bapolu?
Well, that's what I know for now.
So the only citizen in Bapolu, they're going to go to Emory Hospital?
No, it's not only citizen, but I'm talking about if you build an institution like that you want people to benefit from, those are the things you look at. You look at the population and look at the condition of the road, the accessibility to the place, or else it's useless. And I remember even the Tapeta Hospital, when the road was bad, a lot of people wanted to go to the Tapeta Hospital. It was not accessible to them because the road at the time was not conducive. And before you taking a sick patient to carry them all the way to Tapeta, you might have been they will be dead on the road before you reach them to the Tapeta's hospital. You know, and those are the things I'm looking at. You make sure the road is accessible to those places before you carry on such a major project. It's good to take a project, but those are the consideration for me. And I'm talking about you need to take this into consideration, or else there might be abandoned. They may not have people going there, or they may not have staff, because many of them you have these people saying they cannot go in the area because it is abandoned. They have to be given additional, per them and thing. And if they don't have it, the people won't go there to work. Okay, those are things that actually, to be taken into consideration. That I think it should be before those kind of institutions be built.
All right, I'm going to hold my peace until Dr. Keter, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia. I don't think that with a few information gathered so far, the construction of that hospital, I don't think it was an overnight event. You have the very low fire, bombing, all of them, they are within the same corridor, and people going even across the border. So, but we'll wait and see. That's a good, valid point. But if we are to say, well, we want to make sure something, how to call it, quota, ASHFA, I would say every road network in Liberia should have that before we can even put a clinic. I'm not sure when we want that to happen anyway. And that's the whole thing. That's the importance of this census, national census, because it is the national census that determines the growth of a community, of the country, of a city, of a town, of a village, and that's how government apportion benefits.
And
3 years ago, it can be the population of today, but we only know that when there's a census. So It was a junior high, it was an elementary school there, then it needs to be upgraded to high school or maybe vocational or whatever it is. This is why we say, and that's the frustrations of the men, the 100 and some more men and women, the first branch of government. They are the ones supposed to come up with this agenda and push it forward to the executive, but it's not even happening. They are not even having the conversation. They don't even go for recess. The only time you see them running, going for recess to their places right now is because some of them will be seeking re-election. I bet those ones that are not even seeking re-election, they will not even go there. They don't have town hall meeting. They don't have local offices, because it's at these places they will be able to get a clear and precise idea. This town in this community here, because of this population growth, we need cleaning up. Maybe 10 bedroom, maybe 5 bedroom, depending what is available. That's how allotments are made, but they don't do it. So as a result, I mean, they are all lame duck people. They don't do what they're supposed to do. But when it comes to sharing money overnight for them to make it a law, trust me, before they can't even pass, they pass those laws. Okay.
Yeah, I want to make some point clear with River Pro. River Pro is I mean, I didn't come here for us this discussion to discuss particularly a political party or a term or a presidential candidate. It is not Ellen I'm defending here. I'm not here to defend Ellen. We looking at it from a broad perspective of what should be done. Not whether who candidate or whatever candidate. It's not only George Weah I'm talking about. We're talking about from time to time. These are the problem we've been having with the development of Liberia. So when people are discussing issues, that's why people don't listen. They just grab issues and and go. We discussing Liberia on a holistic level, whether be it Ellen government, be it child state or town or whatever time. That is the problem time and time we have been having.
So don't be like liberal for people to be getting under your skin, because he probably be
myself always in it, you know.
Oh, maybe you're you get your own party line.
We
All
get
right,
our
guys.
own thing.
Today
I
is
have to always put it in his head. Okay, yeah. Pro. This is not John Weah thing or Ellen Johnson thing or whoever thing. Liberia's problem.
Thank you so much. The liberal.
I also want to say, birthday girl, thank you for a happy holiday, and we wish you happy birthday to come, and stay safe as well.
Stepping into my birthday.
Yeah.
Birthday there, we'll see what happens. Stepping in, stepping out. I think Buka song will be there. The Buka man said, "Want to Liberia." Okay, guys. And then final closing thoughts.
Well, no, let me go ahead, madam. Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
What could be a prediction for 2023 opposition GOL? Do you think the opposition will come together? Critical question.
Well,
we're gonna go in depth to it, but let's just kind of give it like a weather meteorologist now to forecast. Do you think they're going to come together? As far as we are concerned, knowing what we know now.
I know something will be done along the way. It might not necessarily be that they come under one party roof, but there will be a consensus somehow that they will come to. Something will actually be done for the opposition to come to some term, because if they don't, for me, I advise that they try to come to something that it doesn't necessarily be that each of the candidates take or vice president take the other one as president or whatever it is, but there should be some, communication going on now, dialogues or whatever communication that can be going on to see what best they can do. And I'm sure that's going to be done. But to say, okay, I see in it that somebody will relinquish their ambition to go to the next person, I hope it will be done, but I just not seeing it clear right now. But they might come to a conclusion. Okay. That being said, I really want Liberians. This is election time coming. Let's take up the Vera caps, Vera hats. That had this person and that had that person. Let's look at the real issue that Liberia is facing. Who can actually, solve Liberia's problem? It's not because I'm friendly with Mr. So or Mr. To. Let's look at it. I could be friendly with Mr. So or Mr. To. If Mr. To is an engineer, when Mr. To ready to discuss about road, I'm there like, yes, I know he's hitting some key points about road that he know. But you can't take Mr. To now and say put him as a journalist, even though he serve as a what they call analyst or contributor. But he's not a journalist. That's the difference we have. So we will only be here to contribute, but we can't be like Mr. So. He's a journalist.
Those two people
So we have characteristics that we look at. Actually, let's put people to where they belong, not mismatch them, and that's the problem. Let's look at candidates that can do the right thing for us, not individual friendship.
So it's more in the water. The opposition will come together, but it will not include those people looking at them. Then where do we come from? Then where do we come from now?
Maybe they think you're a new person.
Yeah. All right. We will see. The Liberal, before we go.
Yeah, I just want to say Happy New Year to all. Please stay safe out there, and let's continue to have these kinds of discussion. For I'm sure all of us have good heart for Liberia, except we know what Liberia is supposed to be. Except all of us are taking different route to get there, but we know what we want for our country, and let us continue to respect each other and allow each other to express their view freely. And then we should also respect their view, whether we agree with them or not. And lastly, Mr. So, what I want to say also is that thank God that 2023 is here, and we pray that we're all going to be protected and be here as long as we can. With that, I would say thank you very much and happy holiday to both of you, and say good night.
All right. Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much. And this is what Jeanette is
That
saying.
means I ain't say my Loma tonight.
The opposition won't come together because their ego won't permit or allowed them.
So you let me speak my Loma tonight.
Yeah. You're talking to special people with a Loma Benio. Let's hear what a Loma is. That the same message or a different message?
Every day I addition to the message.
Let's hear it.
Loma get here wana. Wa kono ga go bo ma kudi ni okpoko ni or subu ni when the pegi na. Ga fosagi ya mo abazo. Ga is in the meti ma ga boso the meti pama ga aduwiro. Ni na pegi twa ga nuva go. Adi use him na manu adi say na. Ga na boso kani ga o ma kawara ya no kugi ba. Ka nun wago ba ka ya say na adu nu wago zaina. Ma tate kawara no wago kone ni kere ga ma kawara zaina kone ga ni kawara aka adi yuva ma na kere ma adi kawara zaina. Ka nu wago na ga woni de say na adi ma ada yuwo adi ka ga zila adi manu zaina ga adi zui eze mazo adi fawa go adi yuva ma. So da ga boso maga da ga koto jara bara ya kwelu tiso kwa no go bo maga ade irama marama zira so kwa no go yivle voza valo go gavo zira fro nata ma va yon ya ba na twazi ade pa ade ma so na ma mereze na ota le tayezo ade pa ade yivle so ade ka ga pago ade yiva ma mama osa krani ne vao krani ne graba de va to krani ne ai ga pago ga duro de zile yours man ga zila omenga. Thank you, Mr. So, very much.
Okay.
Pleasure.
There you go. Well, maybe we need to appeal to people in the different vernaculars to create an awareness. They need to register. Their vote matters. It doesn't matter. We're not telling them go vote this way, go vote that way, but that's your constitutional right.
That's what we tell them. Whoever is good, and that's what I say. I don't tell them.
So Samson to one can speak. He one can speak Ranando. Hey, Koto, you concentrate over here. Let's see. Samson to. Where are your camera? Turn your camera on. Okay, I don't know your camera now. You see, you're not even maybe you not know your own dialect. That's what. Samson, are you there?
You may want to put English in there?
I think he's frozen. That's why. But I think it would be a good thing. We all begin to create another awareness for the people to participate. Just tell them the basic why they should vote. Because staying away, I've talked to a lot of people. Yeah, not even going to vote. Said that voting been in my hand inside, your foot inside, your hand inside, your body inside. It doesn't matter which side you take, but I think we need to create an awareness, massive awareness, and that can be done in our various vernaculars and all of that. That will help the process. I will come on to speak the real authentic Basa. Look at Roy says, so who can speak the so Koto not speaking the real Loma? Roy says he's starting trouble.
Roy says, well, we're gonna Basa, he can speak
yeah, River says, bro, we'll be happy. Do a promo and just inbox me, announcement, and we can roll it out. I think that's part of a media role. We need to do that so that people will participate into the process. They will need to register. It is important. Like somebody that I live in my country, I'll go when anything I will stay voting like bro. And that's one of the things. They don't even know the consequences of this sort of migration. You live in your county, you also helping to decrease the population of your county. Not just only that, you undercutting the development because the less the play becomes, that's how government apportion things. So I think that I know rural condition is challenging, but this is what we need to. People need to register in their places. I know it's hard. It was sound insane. Oh, I'm in Maria, I'm gonna go Lofa, I'm gonna go Grand. Okay, well, if you don't go, whatever you register potentially, that way you're gonna be voting. So it means other people will be making decisions in your absence, in your county. You see how it disadvantage you, or maybe putting somebody who you intend not to vote for, but because you didn't go there, so you have to go with the vote of those people. Otto, thank you so much for your time this evening, and we are gradually embracing the birthday event. Thank you so much.
There, I'm so excited.
We'll see how it looks like, and we'll do everything possible to make it like a carnival. Thank you so much.
All right, good night, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Okay, to our folks, I will come on to speak. Okay, Mr. Konto, we're looking. I think we need to do that. All the old man, I'm an old man, enter talking to say, oh my son, myself on Facebook. So all the old man on Facebook. So when we speak our crown, we speak our belly, our lama, our gisi, our basa, crew, grable, and all of that, it will be an awareness. We're just telling them that they need to vote, that they should vote right. Whatever decision that they are making is not just only for them, but it's for their unborn generation. And that's part of the problem because we do not have this sort of we don't create the capacity of this sort of awareness for our people. We don't have this conversation. We do not have that tolerance. We are impatient. And so at the end of the day, we scream at them, but we don't engage them to talk to them why they should vote. Yes, they want to do their farming is important, but when it comes election day or when the censor or registration is going on, they should stay there one day, make sure get it done in the morning and go and do their work. Because if they don't, they're not going to they will not participate in the process. And when they do not participate in the process, what happens? It disadvantages them as well. They deny themselves basic necessities, clinic, school. It might not be there now, but eventually it will come. It's based on those populations of those areas, your towns, your villages. This is how international organizations they have come. Oh, we were here 4 or 5 years ago. There were like maybe 1,000 people, but we have about 15,000 people. So you have like a clinic there with 4 or 5 bedrooms. That 4 or 5 bedroom cannot in any way serve 15, 20,000 people. So then national government or other aid agency that go out because it has to be numbers. Numbers have to be, they're all about figure. You're not just going to, oh, I think I get 500. No. That's not a thing. You have to carry something tangible to make your argument why you want this number of nurses, teachers, because there's a growth in populations and there's a need. And that's when you can compare your government to say, this is what we need to do. But we are all impatient. We're not tolerant. We are not willing to have these conversations with our people. We just only tell them, don't vote for this senator. Don't vote for this representative. And you're not even willing to create a conversation to them to give that sense of direction. but you're telling them not to vote. How can they can't listen to you? I will not even either listen to you. If you can engage me, if you can have that civil conversation, why I shouldn't even vote for that person, and you are not even making an intervention. So that's just a double standard thing that we are all doing, and it is adding to the already problem in ground. 2023, let us be a different people. Seditions, Unity Party, Saints, Liberty Party, ANC. It's all about Liberia. All of you taking risk. All of you stressing your vain neck talking for these people. You don't even know whether even they get a state office, they're going to hire you. You're going to be included. Eventually, you are doing all of it because you want to work. And it's good to work for a country. I want to work for my country. Everybody looking for the federal job here. But what matters is the authenticity you are bringing to power. Are you coming to do the same old thing or do the worse than what the people are doing? And then we come back tomorrow, we start having more headache with conversation because of your behavior. That's the question. That's the $1 million questions. But until we can have this civil conversation with our people and tell them exactly why it is, their decision, they are about to make, giving them the authority of Anthony, you're going to elect lawmakers, who is there currently and has not even gone back for the last 6 years. But when they're going back now to talk to you to have him or her re-elected, you just think about it. You just think about it, giving that person the authority. Because when we elect them, we're not going to go in chambers to go in chambers and have these votes. So they are there to represent us, whether we voted for or against. But I think it is time now that even if they come to ask for re-election, ask them, what can we see? What has been your engagement with the community here? What have you been pushing for national government, and what can we boast about? Not just these little handouts or temporary gifts that are going to be coming and then we give them authority. That's the challenge. And I think the first branch of government is more or less problematic than even the first branch of government, because they should be the ones to hold the executive accountable. They are unable to be held accountable. They are not telling us the truth. They are not honest to us. During the crisis, they were able, cleverly, constitutionally put into budget to do it for themselves under the banner that they're carrying out projects. When they are making provisions of these minerals and other things and telling the people they don't have to screen themselves like that. When they have town halls, their offices would not be overcrowded. I went to Liberia and I visited Capitol Building. It is insane. It is unbelievable. It's almost like in Jungmantown or Rallytown Market. That's what happens if you can't go to the people, if you can't engage the people, if the people can see you 2, 3, 4, 5 months, if your windshields all tinted and only the car tires to see rolling, then they will make their way to come to town because you promised them you're going to do certain things and you are not going back to tell them why you promised them you're going to do those legislations you're going to put forward. That's what's happening. If we will continue to have a lawmaker from both sides, opposition government, who will not sit down to talk about the good of the country, that they can't even agree on common thing about the country and everything is political, then you have a paralyzed or kind of like laying down legislature. Look at the Southeast. Why the people of South Maryland, Grand Judea, and even coming to why they can't sit together. It doesn't matter whether you're for CDC or Unity Party, why they can't sit together. But people are more or less committed to the party than the country, than even the constituents that they represent. Can you imagine? Look at the lifestyle people like John McCain. He gives a thumbs down against his own Republican because he put his constituent, his base, and his country first. But we are so more, the same way the supporters, the surrogate, they are more protective of their party than even the country. So the question becomes, where are all of these parties that we had before? the TWP, the NDPL. So we do not build institutions. We build individuals. And so when age and time and when these people are faded away, the institution collapses and the whole thing goes down the hill. And we have still not learned from there. And this is why right now, all of these parties, there's no backup plan. In as much to go into the election now, you would not hear a new face for the CDC after George Weah, as they allege they're going to be having 12 years. Unity Party did not have a contingency plan, and this is why Helen Johnson Sirleaf left Unity Party in chaos to the extent that she was unable to leave the hands of somebody that served her for 12 years. I'm wondering whether ANC is having a conversation now, because Alexander Cummings did appear on this network and told us here, which we have, that whatever becomes the outcome of this year's election, if it doesn't go the way, he will more or less focus on his foundation. So the question now is there any conversation now after Alexander Cummings who able to lead the ANC, or will we have another reincarnation of a new political party? Because that's what happened. You wine in old bottle and doing this recycling metal processing every day, every night, because we are unable to maintain our political parties. They do not have offices in the county. They do not pay their people. They do not have the money. Everything left on the shoulders of their leader. So when the leader is out, who you think going to be you think he or she going to still be investing in their money? That's your party. That's why you need to pay due. You need to be a registered member and because if you pay in too, then you will have a voice. But more or less, you are also a spectator. You don't have share in it. So when the people divide their social money, you can't get anything at the end of the year. So we need to start thinking about how we can sustain our political institution. It is a shame, it is a disgrace that party will go to national convention at this point in time, after the national convention, and we do not note their standard bearer. The vice presidency, the vice president of Liberia must be competent as the president of the Republic of Liberia in the case the president is incapacitated. But they are living all in a dark room now, just how their motor vehicles look like, and waiting overnight to impose individual where we will not have enough time to vet and look at the characters of these people, their track record. How can a political party it is at the convention you should be able to lift the hands of your running mate, people that are contesting in first branch in government, all of them, they are all about the presidency. So what happens? Let's have this conversation in the conclusion aspect. Take the presidency and you think you have all the other people, CDC, elect your senator, representative. Do you think you're a general? See what is happening right now. The Democrats having a conversation how they're going to handle the Mitch McConnell type of lower house of government. Think about that. Let's say opposition win it, and you have CDC or majority in Senate or the House or the Rep. Do you think Ellis Cummings or Joseph Boyka can do anything? No strategy. If you want to succeed, it is time to stress the government. Let's provide this free consultancy. And everybody broke, they don't have money. So the very few people that have money, they're keeping it for themselves. But if you have candidate now where your presidential aspirant or hopeful and that candidate in their county campaigning or having conversation with their constituent, you create a competitiveness that yes, there will be an election. But only they alone only and only they alone. You have 73 seats at stake, the first branch of government. All of the people that are in the opposition, they are cross-carpet to the ruling establishment. What is responsible for that? They are in majority. So why are we even having this conversation that they are unable to hold the government accountable? Insult, being disrespectful, unwillingness to share note with your colleagues, it can't help it. It can't help it. You even create cloud on the very international community because they will start thinking, wait a minute, can we sit around a conference table to have a 30-minute conclusive conversation with this kind of person behavior who wants to be senator, who wants to be representative the way they are behaving? Nobody going to do business with you. And you people who supporting them are the chief facilitators of these bad behaviors in the country, because you come and you defend these people to your core, to your belly button, telling us, giving you a retrospect. It happens yesterday, so why we want to talk about it now? You need to stop that. You are the one are hurting this country. The first branch of government should hold the executive accountable. Sadly, we, all of us, are not taking a close look at the first branch of government. And it is unfair. If we do not have people who love their country with specific agenda, they are not telling us their platforms. Nobody knows. You can't even find it anywhere concrete. Just telling us that they're going to do it differently. How are you going to do it? How? How are you going to downsize government? How are you going to manage with all of these 1,000 people that with the red barrel, the black barrel, the green barrel that are supporting you? When you win, you just want to leave them like that? That's not chaos you're going to create in the country. What is the provisions? What is the plan for them? You need to tell us. Oh, you're waiting for us until you get in the mansion before you tell us. When it becomes obituary, it's unfair. And for those of you who support this sort of idea, who are not having this conversation with your people that you support, it is unfair, and you are doing just for us, and you are the one that getting into this problem that we are getting into. It is unacceptable. Hopefully this year, 2023, we always see reasons and take Liberia as the country and the only country that we have. And must be proud of our country. We're making comparison with other countries. It was not automatic. People made a sacrifice. People gave and take. I'm waiting to see one of these days where Sir Joseph Nyombli Kanga Lauren, Akaras Gray, Tom Fala, Darius Dillon, and all of those people where they will sit. All of them, they are the same people. They don't talk to one another. Yet they say they are senator for county representative, but they are all just, they don't have a conversation. How do you expect development to go in your country? I mean, in your county or in your region, when you can't even draft a bill and tell your colleagues to say, take a review and see how this bill looks like. I need your input. Let's put aside of this stuff here. Let's see what can happen for Mosorado, for Grand Gita, for Maryland, for Sando, for Riverside, for Grand Basso. They don't see eye to eye. They're waiting first when they get there, that when they will see eye to eye. So if you can't build a coalition to work with other people when you get there, they will make it difficult for you as well. Simple, period. You don't support me, I don't support you. That's it. And that's politics, is all about interest. If you can tell me what you represent, your agenda, and you think you're going to insult and cost me to listen to you, hell no, I'm not going to listen to you. We're not even going to sit on the conference table because I'm going to flip the table. Well, folks, this is 2023, and we're going to be a little bit tough and we're going to be a little bit aggressive, but we'll be respectful in the interest that we have this conversation. But it has become a tradition, the deception, the hypocrisy, not just only on the part of politicians, but their supporters and surrogate, and the very Liberians, and they come back tomorrow and come with this political correctness statement, knowing what I know, if I need it, I'm not going to vote. Well, I don't want to hear that crap. We have heard that story before, and there's no, I don't have no record player, I don't have no cassette to play that other tape. Jumping from one party to party. Why these parties can't even ask them what was the problem that caused in those parties and they're leaving. But everything is an open door because they don't pay due, no sacrifice. They rely only on the standard barrier pocket, and the thing they get sharp mark, they can talk. And that's why we have the country we have like this. That's why we have the country. Nobody unable to raise their finger to their leader. Yes, you're my leader, but this one year was not right. You need to have a second thought about it. I'm not saying you go in the public to insult your leader. That's not what I'm saying. But you raise your finger, or even after the conference, Mr. President, Mr. Senator, Mr. Representative, I think this one here, it needs to have a second revision. This decision is not in the interest of our community. It's not in the interest of our country. Everybody just for a tantrum, unnecessary for nothing tantrum. Everybody vexed, everybody in anger. Nobody willing to sit with people around the table to have a conversation, to be persuasive, to convince people why you should be the one. With all our blood pressures just going high, running through our vein and head. And you think you want to have a stable country? It's not going to work. So even you take Barack Obama right now and take him to be president, with the political process and how the country politics has been so polarized, you're going to be the same old thing. Well, folks, time has caught up with us here this evening. Here. Thank you so much. It's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We say happy New Year. Be safe. We pray for our country. Let's create that awareness. Let people register. Let the Liberian people decide. Let's bring authenticity to this conversation. Forget about these people who are entertaining. Forget about going to places where you only want to hear. We tell you here what you need to know. You have the right to agree and disagree with us, but we don't entertain. This is not an entertainment industry. It's a serious business. The media have a responsibility to play her part, to put it out to you. And we want to make it in an honest fashion. Give people the opportunity to hear both sides. We don't convict people here without having their side of the story. That's not who we are, and we intend not to change course. Thank you so much, and have a pleasant day. Let's leave you with this song here. For me, this is a song of the end of the year for us. Bye-bye.
DJ Square Production Classic today.
Oh, don't wait. Don't wait, don't wait. Don't wait. We are gone, don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait till I die. Don't wait, yeah. Don't wait. Don't wait, my brother, don't wait. Don't wait. My sister, don't wait. Don't wait.
So I want to encourage you. This book here called Liberty Hijack. This is loaded. Liberty Hijack: The History of How the Loss of Liberty Divides Liberia. If you read this book here, it would tell you exactly the politics that is being played right now. The 1935 elections in Liberia is something this book forecast, and like exactly what is happening. Read this book, you will get to know the true history of your country, how the politics is being played, and what is happening in today's world. Thank you so much. It's available on Amazon, by the way. It's Liberty Hijack by Kai Jarawale.
Don't wait till I'm in the hospital. Don't wait. I'm dying. Don't wait. Don't wait. I need your help. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait till I die. Please help me. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. I need you help me now. Don't wait. Don't wait till I die. Don't wait till I die before you help me. If you want to help me right now. Don't wait, oh sister, don't wait. I said don't wait, my brethren, don't wait. Don't wait till I die before you help me. I need your help. Help me right now. I'm in the hospital, lying on my sick bed. I just need you to help me one more life, and Jehovah will bless you. Don't wait till I die to rain cast and carry my body to the grave. I said don't wait when I die before you praise me. Don't wait when I die to cry for me, man. Oh, don't wait when I die to post my photo. This woman was so sick, she was saying.
government, it did not meet your core values?
I resigned. Before I resigned, I issued a 13-page press statement. It's on the internet. If you check, you'll find it. And then the president subsequently called me back into government because at that time, she had sent all the cabinet ministers home for 2 weeks compulsory leave. I was one of those that she called back. And I said, no, I'm not coming back into your government because what I believe you will do is not what you are doing. This country went into civil conflict and over 300,000 people were killed because of bad governance. And I see the same thing
happening,
being done by you. The same thing is happening.
That's why you told the president?
Yes, in a conversation with her. And I said, thank you, but I'm not coming back to the government. Anything good in Liberia. Louis Brown was National Security Advisor to Charles Taylor, man. That was the time I was tortured.
This seems to me ANC now.
Let them be redeeming themselves. They laid the foundation for the suffering that is happening today. No. It's not in good faith. Isn't it the same Louis Brown who said to President Sirleaf, Kennedy president, that no one since 1847 has so desecrated the executive mansion equal to President Kennedy, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. It was not even a month after he was appointed to be Minister of Information for that same President Sirleaf. And he was propagating everything. When he was asked by the journalist, he said, you know, when you are far from President Sirleaf, you see a bad woman. When you come close to her, you see a good person. That sounded very opportunistic to me.
For being here, and especially in these difficult times, I thank the Liberian people for their kind attention. All over this country, in every village and town, across every region and community, from mosques to churches, from markets to schools, from prisons to hospitals, across all political parties, ministries, agencies, and institutions of the government, no Liberian needs me to tell them that things are bad and only getting worse. Sadly, President Weah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I am Alfonso Zienso, and this is today's editions of Lpr-Tv Live with the panelists. The panelists are here in full to discuss, dissect, and critical issues affecting our country. Welcome to the show. I am Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio in collaboration with the panelists. They are here in full. Welcome to the show.